I'm just going to hand it over to John now for the attendance and apologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, members. To all members of Derry City and Strabane District Council, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of the Council to be held today at Electoral, Wednesday the 29th of May at 2 o'clock. Alderman Cook.
Here, John.
Alderman Guy. Alderman Hussey.
Aye.
Alderman Carrigan.
Here.
Alderman McMorris. Alderman Middleton.
Here, John.
Alderman Montgomery.
Here.
Apologies from Alderman Wilkinson. Councillor Jason Barr. Councillor Lillian Barr. Councillor Raymond Barr. Councillor Boggs.
Shaw.
Councillor Boyle.
Here.
Councillor Clark.
And Shaw.
Councillor Cusick.
Here.
Councillor Deaney.
Apologies.
Councillor Devine. Councillor Donnelly.
Shaw.
Councillor Alex Duffy. Councillor Sandra Duffy. Councillor Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Fleming.
Shaw.
Councillor Gallagher.
Shaw.
Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart.
And Shaw.
Councillor Heaney.
Shaw.
Councillor Hutton.
Shaw.
Councillor Jackson.
Shaw.
Councillor Leonard.
And Shaw.
Councillor Logue. Councillor McDade. Councillor McGinley.
Shaw.
Councillor McHugh. Councillor Mooney. Councillor Murphy.
Shaw.
Councillor Norris.
Here.
Councillor Farrell.
Shaw, John.
Councillor Riley. Councillor Tierney. Councillor Neelis.
Shaw.
And Councillor Jason Barr. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members.
Thank you, John. I'm just going to read the broadcasting statement. I would like to remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. If you are seated in the lower public seating media areas, it is possible that the recording cameras will capture your image, and this will result in the possibility that your image will become part of the broadcast. By entering the council chamber and using the press or lower seating areas, you are consenting to being filmed and consenting to that use and storage of images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. If you wish to avoid this, you should move to the upper public gallery. A copy of the council's privacy notice may be found on the council's website at www.derrystrabane.com. Item number 4, any declarations of members' interests? Yes.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. HC 111/23 Dementia Action Week. I'm a member staff of Alzheimer's Society. Thank you.
That'll be noted. Any more? Not at the minute. Okay, move on now to chair. Oh, sorry.
Thank
Councillor
you.
McDade.
Just one of the motions, Councillor Farrell's motion. I'm an OT and I work for the Western Trust.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Moving on now to chairperson's business.
Mayor.
Sorry, Christopher.
Just to be on the safe side, I'm declaring interest as a member of the Western Health and Social Care Trust.
Any more declarations? Affairs business. There is 11 councillors and aldermen that have notified me on affairs business. And given it's my last meeting, I just decided to be a wee bit lenient today. So not she's can talk as long as she's want now, but but I suppose for myself, I'll start off, and I think I speak for everybody here when we want to send our warmest congratulations to Alderman Gary Middleton on the birth of his baby son. Wilkinson, Hamilton, Julie, I'm thinking about you having the baby too, and I'm just, you haven't that long to go anyway now, have you? 3 weeks. Well, nearly got it right, but anyway, no. Alderman Gary Wilkinson on the birth of his baby son. I want to wish him all the best. I hope he doesn't get too many sleepless nights. But I suppose just for myself, just moving swiftly on. Look, I'll not keep these too long. I know I'm going to be talking on Monday night, but as you all know, this is my last chairing full council as mayor, and I just want to thank everybody, the council officers, but you as members too, for working with me throughout the year to try and have these council meetings run as smoothly as they possibly can. So I hope that you found it was fair, and that you can agree with me on that. But I want to also, I suppose at this point, just thank the staff here at the Electoral, and this is not just coming from me. I over and by many, many people. So I also suppose there's been many, many events that I have attended over the past year, too many to remember. But I want to just maybe touch on the festivals that we have put on this year. They've been absolutely amazing. Not least the last one, the Jazz Festival. It was really, really great, and all credit to the staff and everybody that worked on that too as well. And during the staff or the Jazz Festival, I had the great Rock the Boat, which I hope will go down in history as being the largest rock the boat in the world. But well done to all the organisers and that, especially the Foyle Hospice. It was that wasn't my idea, it was theirs. But I was so glad that they kept it to be carried out during my mayoral year. And on that too, I just want to publicly thank Mickey Doherty. He has been an excellent ambassador for this city, and he's been an excellent ambassador for my charities this year. So I hope you all agree with me too on that. Right across all our departments, between the business, the health and education, I think we're punching away above our weight. This morning we had, there was a conference up in the university that John would have spoke of, and it's about the partnership of the whole Northwest City region. And, you know, everybody now has embraced that, and I feel that there's going to be really good times coming, especially for our young people. My most favourite thing I would have to say is out and about and meeting people and getting into every corner of this district council. I wish Kieran Maguire was here today, because but I know you are, Kieran, but Ahiyarn, he never stopped talking about Ahiyarn, but I have to say it is a lovely part of our council district, and I was made very, very welcome there, but as I was in all areas that I went into, and I have to thank everybody for that. And one of the other most favourite things that I had was hosting receptions for young people and the achievements that they have got. It really, it never ceases to amaze me, you know, how well our young people are doing, and we should be very, very proud of them. I've mentioned the Jazz Festival, and then we had the ball on Friday night. And I know a lot of you would know that I had a horrible couple of weeks just before that, but nevertheless, the ball all came into place and family was all there, so it was great just to have that, and it all went well. And I hope everybody that attended enjoyed themselves. And then on Friday, I thought I was going to be going out in my ball gown on Friday. I says, no events, or Saturday, sorry, no events on Saturday. I couldn't possibly after I managed to do it. And we had the lovely Car Festival on the Guildhall Square, which managed to raise over £7,000 for the charity too as well. And that's the third time that they have done that, and all thanks to them. And just on the note of the charities, at the minute, the charities is standing at £40,000, and that is not the money from the Rockabout or the Giddy Up Guildhall, and there's other bits and pieces still to come in. So I just want to thank everybody too that contributed in any way at all to make that total to what it is the day. And last but not least, and I'll finish here, folks. I know you think I'm making the Gettysburg Address like here, but it was the Africa Day that we had up in St. Colum's Hall that was run by the African Caribbean community. A fabulous event that was really, really well attended. The only problem I had was that I was right up at the top, and the smell of the food down at the bottom was absolutely amazing. I was actually playing drums and up dancing and everything, but anyhow, I got home and I got pizza, and that was grand. So I'm just going to hand it over now to the first person on my list, and that's Alderman McMorris. Okay, Eric.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. And can I just say congratulations on your ending of your tenure. You were amazing, and we really appreciate all you've done. And you've certainly responded back when I've had any requests or anything, and really appreciate that. Just in regards to the business, basically during the week we have received a ROSPA report for 2 play parks in the waterside area, namely Drumahoe. To say I'm disappointed is probably an understatement, because I was actually contacted by the residents to say that the play equipment was removed from the parks even before we were notified. And actually, I basically was telling, the council officer who I was speaking to at the time that basically I already knew, which is disappointing. And on the body of the email, it basically was saying about community consultation happening before this would be removed, play equipment would be removed. And to say there's no consultation again after we made many noise after Ross Downey Park being taken away without any consultation. So this is now 3 parks on the waterside with no play equipment. On the ROSPA report, there was a multi-unit on it, right? And it says basically it had a score of 2, play value was very, very poor. And but it said it had a life expectancy of 90 days. Now, this report was carried out in March. We were notified just there, not even in the last week, basically. So I don't know whether the 90 days is from the date of the report, and it took 2 months for them to come back with the report, or what has happened here, but there's certainly been no 90 days for us to even look at it or do anything about it. So I just want to raise about the flat swings too as well. The flat swings on the report, it basically said that, it says monitor rust, but it says that in a lot of it, do you know what I mean? But it says just to raise the seats 50 millimeters. And it also says about the life expectancy. But they didn't remove one wee bit of equipment, but they did remove the swings, even though all they had to do was raise the chains. And it could have prolonged the life for a month or 2 in order to have consultation with the community. but the community just basically woke up and they took away their swings. And and another thing, I was speaking to many of the community people, and they were saying that the council have been in and fixed fences and done maintenance in the park. And it's kind of, it amazes me that we're in doing maintenance to a park and then remove the play equipment. And in regards to one of the parks in View Park, I basically had put a thing through helping communities in order to get barriers to protect the park because of the health and safety aspects. I'm still waiting for verification back on the result of that. But I find it ironic that I'm requesting barriers for a park and council have already taken the play equipment out of it. So I would just like a wee bit of an update on how we've come to this stage where, again, we have taken the play equipment out of 2 parks, absolutely no consultation with the community, no awareness even to the local councillors until after the event. So I just want to raise that, Mayor, and to say I'm disappointed is an understatement. You know, this community desires play provision. You know, it's council owned. You know, did we not know 12 months ago that this was going to be in the agenda, or it was near its life then? I can't understand how we get to a stage where we just remove play equipment from parks and no consultation, no nothing. And to say the residents is really disappointed, that's another understatement. But thank you, Mayor, for letting me in.
Thank you.
Chair,
Mayor?
happy to deal with that. In terms of the ROSPA inspections are carried out annually. And then within the ROSPA report, that will give a ranking of actions that need to be carried out immediately or up to 90 days. So the timeframes where you mentioned is 90 days, is that that issue has to be rectified within 90 days. So sometimes that will be removal, sometimes it will be repair. So it refers to it on that basis. I was aware that the emails had come out, I had seen them, but I wasn't party to it, but I certainly will discuss it with the officers and get back to you directly on that process. With regards to the fence went up on Monday. And hopefully that will address the issues and the concerns you raised with you know, the interaction between the site and the young people. There should be a form of community consultation in terms of the ROSPAs where it can be done. In some instances, it's not appropriate. The ROSPA reports will come in sometime after the inspection, and it will say that the equipment is so far gone that it needs to be removed immediately. But in general, you know, we try to ensure that adequate consultation takes place with the community representatives, and I'll reflect that back to the officers concerned and make sure that's the case moving forward.
Okay, Connor.
Thanks, Mayor. We're going to do this later in a minute, but just take this opportunity now to we're talking about play parks. I just wanted to acknowledge the positive progress in relation to the Hazelbank Play Park at ENR this month. That going through that committee is a significant step that moves us now into public consultation. So I would encourage all residents to take part in that consultation on the 9th of June. So just wanted to acknowledge that.
Okay. No one else? Right, move on now to the second item on the chair's business is Paul Boggs, and you want to come on 2 items, Paul, search and rescue group and the Strabane Athletic. Yep.
Good morning, Mayor, and thank you. I suppose the first one, the community search and rescue, I think we can all agree on the brilliant work that those organisations do, and I know Foyle Search and Rescue here in the city is similar, but we have talked in this chamber at previous full council meetings about the devastation that's caused when people enter the water for whatever reason that may be. And these people are the first responders, and they're the people that then in some cases spend days, if not weeks, trawling the riverbeds and supporting the local community in whatever way they can, and coordinating that effort between the local community, often local sports clubs, local search and rescue teams, and bringing people. You know, you see teams coming from Cork and Galway to help out with searches up here in the 6 counties, and at the worst of circumstances, it's heartwarming to see that collective effort that the community search and rescue team bring to our communities to help support people. So I recently met with them they highlighted a couple of issues in Strabane in particular, and they would like to be afforded the opportunity to come in and present to the Health and Community Committee to see if there is anything the council can do to even guide them or give them some advice on where they're looking to go with solving the problems to some of these issues. So it may not necessarily be a role for council, but we may have the expertise to be able to advise them on the next step forward. So it's just to make the proposal, Mayor, that we invite the Community Search and Rescue team into Health and Communities, and happy to provide those details to officers going forward. Okay.
Sorry, Brian, is it this issue? Yeah, go ahead.
It's just on the back of that is to highlight the lack of life rings on the bridges in Strabane. As the people of Strabane have witnessed a number of tragedies in our local rivers, and in some cases, life rings may have assisted with those in difficulty. A motion was recently passed with Donegal County Council to provide life rings on Lifford Bridge. I had a look at our 3 other bridges in Strabane, and there are no life rings located there. Water safety is an area that council have been proactive on. The pedestrian bridge, I think, not sure the ownership is between council and DFC, so possibly could we look into the provision of life rings there. And on the 2 road bridges, I understand the responsibility is with the DFA. So I was looking to see if council officers could write to the DFA asking for the provision of life rings in those locations. Thank you.
Right. Item number 3, and that, oh, sorry, Strabane Athletic, Paul.
Your Nugget, Mayor, apologies. I suppose it's just hopefully many people have seen the success of the Strabane Athletic senior men's team, who had a fantastic one of the Ballymena and Provincial League title at the weekend. There's been a fantastic buzz around Strabane ever since, and many taking part in well-deserved celebrations throughout the weekend. I think those have come to a close for the time being, but very, very well deserved. And it's just evident of the sporting success again in Strabane. And I know you touched earlier on your year as mayor. And I suppose I want to thank you for the many teams, particularly in Strabane, that you have come to recognise throughout that year. But this is just another one of those, and I think it's a real inspiration, particularly for younger footballers, boys and girls, coming forward about the success that can be had at football at this level. So they are now preparing for promotion playoffs, and I want to send them all the very best of luck and congratulate them on their success at the weekend, but also as they move forward. And I've already been in touch with the Mayor's office to ask that the new incoming Mayor hold a reception to recognise their success. Thank you.
Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Boyd, for bringing that to the attention of Council. And again, I would add my congratulations to that and wish them well in the playoff. And if the playoff is successful, they'll be joining Derryview in the Premier Intermediate League, I understand. So the potential for local rivalry games is there, but wish Strabane all the very best. And just to conclude, Mayor, to thank you for your year in office and the tremendous amount of engagements that you've undertaken during that time.
Paul.
Thank you. Likewise, I'd like to congratulate Strabane Athletic. And Mayor, on the back of that, I'd also like to congratulate this council, because a number of years ago, when particularly my good self was arguing about investment in the arena, that I said and forecast that if the money was put into this council, Strabane Athletic would do well. And this is what we're seeing. And the people of Strabane are well proud of that. So I think this council should also take a slap in the back for the investment that is done in the arena. Thank you.
Councillor Jason Barr, and Jason, just before you come in, it was remiss of me, very remiss of me, during my chairperson's business, not to mention yourself. I will be saying a wee bit more on Monday night, but I just want to publicly thank you here for the excellent work you carried out during the year. You were an excellent Deputy Mayor, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Just on the back of Paul Boggs regarding the Strabane Athletic,
I echo his sentiments to congratulate Strabane Athletic on the recent cup win, and also, as he says, for their promotion game now on Friday night. I know last night their first leg of that they drew 1-1, so it'll be a great encounter on Friday night. But I have every belief that they will win that game and continue for further success. So just to add my comments to that, and hopefully also in the near future, I know Councillor Gallagher did mention about the upgrade, the previous upgrade of the arena. So hopefully now we can see the further upgrade of the arena with the floodlighting in the very near future also for the further progressment of football in the Strabane area. Thank you.
Thank you. And move on now to item number 3, and that's, oh, sorry, who did I miss? Sorry, Councillor Barr.
Again, just like to add my congratulations to Strabane Athletic. I was actually at the game last night in Lurgan. It was a very hard game it was, so they're in for a tough encounter at the Melbourne Arena on Friday night. That game, if they won it, as Alderman Hussey says, will get the promotion to the Premier Intermediate League. One step closer to achieving the ambition of bringing Irish League football to Strabane. Obviously, as they move up the leagues, the requirement for pitch improvement is going to be there. So, as I recognise, as Councillor Gallagher says, what Council have done in the past, but I hope they'll continue to throw their weight behind Strabane Athletic and help them to achieve their objective of Irish League football. Thank you.
Christopher.
Good Mayor, and I know Councillor Boggs has expressed our party's congratulations to Strabane Athletic, but it was just picking up on a comment that Councillor Barr has referenced there in relation to further upgrades to the arena. We know that in recent times there was the announcement of the funding opened that was formerly known as the Sub-Regional Stadia Fund, and we know that within our council district there's huge plans and there's huge need for stadium upgrades, and I suppose just asking, is it possible at this meeting, and linking it to this proposal, is there room at this meeting, or is there potential at this meeting to get any sort of update in relation to where we're at around potential bids, or could a paper be brought to the next relevant committee just on that and potential bids to that funding stream? Thanks, Mayor, because I know the announcement was met with quite a lot of well, there's a lot of excitement, but there's a lot of expectations within our council area. So it would be good to get a bit more information around the avenue, timescales in relation to that. Thanks, Mayor.
No bother. I think that's a very good point. I think what I'm hearing here from John is we can do both. So a brief update, verbal update now, and then a paper will be brought on eventually. Is that right, John? Yeah.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, and I'll bring Barry in here. We can bring a more detailed paper, but we have been liaising principally with both Derry City Football Club and Institute in terms of both of their bids. There may be others, Barry, I'm just not so sure, but we've certainly been liaising with both of them. And any support that they have required from us in respect of those bids we've provided. Barry, maybe you can give some more detail.
Through yourself, Mayor. In terms of detail, yeah, Christopher, we can bring a more detailed report in. There was an announcement by the Minister last week for a substantial amount of money. Just for background, the department, DFC and the IFA have been working with a number of clubs, so Derry City being one of them, and a number of business cases are being prepared that council are inputting into. So we don't have any other detail around that as yet, just other than there's a number of business cases will be assessed within the department. There's no timescales, budgets, or open programme criteria as yet for the tier 2 of that as well. So look, we'll bring whatever information we have in through the relevant committee, H&C.
Alderman Hussey, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Barry, for that. And of course, you're talking about council premises, own premises, and Councillor Gallagher referred there to the council input, which has assisted Strabane Athletic, which is very welcome. But remember that there are other clubs who paddle their own canoe who will also be putting in their applications, and I would hope that this council will endorse and assist those clubs. with their applications in those clubs that are within our district council area. Thank you.
Aisling?
Just a quick question, Barry. See the consultation process that you were chatting about there. So we asked 3 solutions. Myself and Councillor Boggs had taken part in that with one of the reps from the organisation, and it was just in and around how we felt that the stadium could be best used by everyone within the community. So obviously we've given all our recommendations there, but I do know that the pitch failed its test. The pitch in the Brandywell failed the test with the IFA, if I'm right. And so it's limited now to the amount of usage that it can tick on. So do you see the report that you are going to be bringing back? Will that take into consideration how we're going to alleviate the fact that if the pitch isn't fit for purpose, it can't be used by the amount of people that are looking to use it through the recommendations? Will that come into this report here? Because it was a question I was going to ask just around, there is public consultation about having the best use of those facilities, but if the pitch can't hold the amount of people that are looking to book it, what way is that going to work?
Yourself, Mayor. Yeah, in terms of the business case that Derry City are involved in for the brand, this is specifically for the Brandywell, that will go into the department and it'll look at everything. It'll look at stands, it'll look at training grounds, it'll look at the pitch. I think you refer specifically to the Brandywell as it is, the 3G pitch at present. So in terms of the league that Derry City play in, and in Europe as well, it has to meet a certain standard, FIFA quality standard. And in order for that to happen, there's a bounce test done every year on it. So we have to reduce the usage if you want to maintain play of a 3G facility, both League of Ireland level and also in Europe. So there are a number of hours reduced from what it would have first been used when the stadium opened. So we continually monitor that and we test it every year. But you know, it didn't fail a test. We were given an indication if the usage maintained over the next 2 or 3 years, it may have failed the test. So it has never actually failed the test, that particular facility. It's fine and available for use both in Europe and in FAI standard football.
So moving on, and just your comment, Alderman Hussey, on the help to football or sporting bodies. I'm sure if anyone comes to council officers, they will assist them in whatever way they can. So moving on now to item number 3, and that's Emma, and it's regarding the GAA minors.
Mayor, continuing on the theme of sport, I just want to say congratulations to the Derry GAA minors who beat Armagh on Sunday, did after the Ulster Championship for the 17th time, and will now go forward for the All-Ireland. And I think it would just be nice if we could send them a wee letter, maybe as one of your last acts as Mayor, to congratulate them and wish them all well in the All-Ireland. Thank you.
Certainly will do. Fergal.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to add my congratulations to the Tyrone Common Lula Scale, the Tyrone under 20 GAA All-Ireland winning team, and to their management team, Paul Devlin and Dermot McNulty. Tyrone under 20s defeated Kerry on the 19th of May. There are actually 2 members of the panel from this council area, goalkeeper Conor McInerney from Glenelly and Barry McMenamin for a second time. My Ireland's going to get a mention today, so Barry McMenamin from my Ireland as well. There's no doubt there's been a great commitment from all the panel, managers, background team and their families. I've already contacted your Office of Vara to put in a request for a mayor's reception for the team and their manager. Opinion, don't, however, is that their captain, Michael Rafferty from Killyclahar Club, sadly lost his brother John in a road traffic collision on the treacherous A5 last October. And John too should have been sitting in a seat supporting and watching his brother. With this in mind, it's important to acknowledge the role that sport has in helping and supporting our young people with their physical and mental health. I commend them all for this right across the board, whether they're playing GAA, soccer, rugby, camogie, hockey, it doesn't matter. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Fergal. And there must be something in the water in a yarn, because I've You ever heard as many centenaries, 100th birthdays, and the sporting accolades that's coming out here, and so certainly must get some of that water. So anyway, Councillor McLeod.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just wanted to put on record our congratulations to the minor team too, and congratulations for getting as far as they did, and wish the senior team all the best in beating Armagh this weekend. Thank you.
Okay, I'll arrange for 3 letters to be sent to those both clubs. Okay. Moving on now, item number 4, and it's Julie Middleton.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. Mayor, I have 2 pieces I emailed about. Can I speak on both? Is that okay? Thank you. Animal cruelty first, yeah, no problem. So thanks, Mayor, for letting me in and allowing me to speak. I am certain that I'm not the only person in this chamber who was left completely aghast, disgusted and devastated by the latest incident and video that was circulating of animal abuse that happened within our area in the last few weeks. I know from previous conversations in this chamber that there are many members who are pet owners or animal lovers, but the reality is you shouldn't have to fall into either category to know that abusing or murdering an innocent, helpless, defenceless animal is completely and utterly depraved, sick and just wrong. Unfortunately, this is not a one-off or an isolated incident for us in our city, our district or our region. Such individuals obviously lacking any moral compass must face the full weight of our judicial system. Unfortunately, I think we'll all agree the full weight is not weighty enough. People want to see action from all elected reps at every level. They don't want to see warm words or encouraging words anymore. They want to see action. I certainly do as well. We must rally together as a council to say that enough is enough. And I personally, and on behalf of the party, would urge each and every one of you to join me in writing to the Justice Minister personally and the Dairy Minister. We need to ask for urgent legislative intervention. And I would also like to suggest that we maybe consider setting up a working group or a task group to look at how we as a council can actively work against vile animal abusers. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Councillor Duffy.
Good Mayor, and thank you to Alderman Middleton, I forgot your name there, sorry, for bringing this this morning. Like Julie and many others throughout the Southern District, I was horrified to see it, especially as a proud dog owner and animal lover. Absolutely devastating, and just if what Julie's recommendation there was, if it needs a seconder, we're happy to do that, and also to join Alderman Middleton in writing to the Justice Minister to call for tougher sentences on those who are involved in animal cruelty. And thank you again, Julie.
Councillor Cusack.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks, Julie, for bringing this forward. I was one of the councillors who've been inundated with messages about this. I contacted the PSNI directly, try and get some more information. The person, as I will refer to him as, is currently released on bail. Another individual has also been released on bail with regards to animal cruelty in the Ballykelly area. I know it's not within our council area, but it affects everybody. And I'm sure there's people who have that same mindset in our area. All we need to look at is Justice for Luna campaign as well too. There are people who, as Julie says, have no moral compass, they have no compassion. And what's most concerning about these type of individuals is that type of behaviour is psychopathic, basically. If they're going to do it to an animal, where does it stop? So yes, we need tougher sentences. We also need people, that certain individual as well too, I believe has close family in the police force as well too. So that needs to be taken into consideration when it comes to any special favours or being treated any differently from anybody else. That has been made public. So I'm not breaking any confidences that way. But yeah, it's something we need to all look at. We need to be a voice for the voiceless, and especially when it comes to such horrific crimes against innocent animals, we all need to be singing from the one hymn sheet. But we can say lots of words, we can all be sympathetic, but we actually need action, and that action needs to be taken when it comes to actually passing sentences and making people pay for their crimes. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Boggs.
Mayor, and I really welcome the issue being raised by Alderman Middleton and totally take on board the comments of Councillor Cusack as well. I suppose, I don't know if it's a new councillor thing or just because we do not have the legislation that the Justice Minister and the Era Minister need to work really, really hard to get as soon as possible. But the sad reality is that these instances are picking up everywhere, and it's not just with what you could call domestic pets of, you know, cats and dogs, whatever else. There are instances in my own constituency where I know that people are contacting me saying, I am seeing this right in front of my eyes and there is absolutely nothing being done. And yes, the police have a role to play when there is evidence, but you think about, you know, farm animals that are basically left in a field tied up with a piece of rope, and they're there for weeks, if not months on end, looking like nobody has looked at them. And where, you know, I don't know if it's because this issue seems to be becoming more common that you're more aware of not being able to do anything about it. But it's disheartening to think that goes on, but that I feel like you have nowhere really to turn. So I think as part of that task group or working group that Alderman Middleton has proposed, I think for ourselves as elected reps, if officers could maybe look at, is there any, I don't know, training out there, or is there any information or charities or groups or organisations that could come in and brief us on what is the right thing to do? Because I don't know how anybody else feels, but I for one feel very helpless whenever people contact you with those issues. And I know it's only as late as yesterday that I had you know, contact from constituents in relation to instances that they're seeing before their eyes, and bar the police, I'm kind of at a loss as to where to send them or where to take myself to try and get some enforcement or action. And I know that is down to a lack of legislation and a lack of enforcement powers, particularly from council's perspective. But I think it would be really good as part of that group as well, just to reiterate the point that as councillors and as elected reps, we could do with a bit of training, and maybe it's something that the Democratic Services team could look at about how to report that and pass it on and deal with it appropriately. Very much.
Sure, that'll be action, Paul. It's a very good idea. Councillor Norris.
Just on behalf of the SDLP and myself, Julie, as a dog lover, totally back your proposal. We don't concur with everything that everybody has said. It's legislation that needs changed. People can do things and they don't get charged, you know, so we really have to do it. You know, Doris Norris sits on my knee most night, and, you know, I can't believe that anybody would hurt any animal, you know. Thank you.
Let's now back to yourself, Julie.
Thanks, Mayor, for letting me speak again. Just back to animal cruelty, I'm really thankful to hear full support. I didn't expect anything else. But moving on, I just want to talk about dogfighting a little bit. Dogfighting is an issue that affects us all district-wide, and it's one that we've spoken about in great length in the chamber. And I know that our council officers have worked with us on getting new bins and different reports out and about for us. Just last week, I was delighted to visit the Ena Youth Forum at the Strathfoyle Greenway to see young people not just use their words, but turn their words into positive action, helping their community to tackle the issue of dogfighting. I was really genuinely inspired by the young members of the Youth Committee and staff who have made their community better and who have shown that they've cared through the Cleaner, Greener and Safer project, and through them making it a reality just by doing something so simple, by saying, look, we're here, we have an issue with dogfighting, here's a bag, you know, it's that simple. I just wanted to commend all the young people and their support staff in the Ena Youth Forum for their brilliant example of positive community action and for being an inspiration to us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Mayor, and me and your good friends today, Julie. Keep coming on behind you. Just to agree with Alderman Middleton on the event held by the Youth Committee at NEU Forum. I've been working very closely with this young group of people, and they're very, very inspirational, and they've loads of great ideas. And what they're at the moment is tackling the issue of dog fouling, what is occurring time and time again along the new Greenway, the stretch from Strathfoyle to Grantia, where there is dog fouling bans, maybe not enough, where people are just disregarding their dog's dirt, or they are bagging it and then hanging it in trees. We know it's been seen throughout the Southern District, but no, just to concur with Alderman Middleton and congratulate them young people of taking the initiative and tackling stuff within their own community. And it's not the end of the events and lobbying, but these young people are going to do. We're going to be hearing a lot more from them, thankfully, and they're, again, just to thank them, and they're so inspirational. Thank you.
Councillor Norris.
Thank you, Mayor, for bringing me up. It's actually, just want to concur what the youth committee's doing out there now. They're really doing good work, you know, and as Alex said, they're going to move on to all our things. They're tackling all our issues within the community and raising the profile of it. And I'd just like to congratulate them as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hutton.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll keep it brief. It's just to commend the council team for some of the work that I have been doing with them and around dog fouling in the Moor Ward. They sometimes when you ring them up and you tell residents that they're coming out, they think it's going to be like a forceful interaction, but it actually isn't. It's very educational. They work very well with the residents, erecting signage and doing patrolling and giving people advice on and around what they should do if they see dog fouling. So it was just to share my experience of working with Seamus Donaghy's team. It is really, really it's enlightening to see the stuff that they do, and it's not that you're sending people out, they watch people or watch their dogs. It's an engagement with residents that works really, really well. There have been 2 areas in particular where the residents have actually come back to me and said that it was so useful, and even the children were taking on board now the stuff that was happening. So brilliant what the youth team are doing, but I have to also commend the team, the dog warden and the dog fouling team as well. They're doing great work. Thank you.
And we'll move on now, and it's Councillor Donnelly.
Good Chair, and I'd like to thank you for your stewardship throughout the last year. Chair, I think being in that seat, it brings out and permits me to extol the virtues and qualities of your good self, Mayor. And there's a bit of a, and I've noticed that's a pattern, and I said the same to Councillor Tierney when he finished up chairing a committee meeting last week. But thank you, you've been very fair and decent. Chair, the issue that I want to highlight is an event called Jumping for All Our Jacks, and it's being organised by the family of Jack Edgar, who took his own life. His death had a devastating effect on his entire family, and they're completely heartbroken, like many others throughout this district, council and beyond. They lost their son on the 27th of December 22, and it was completely unexpected. Jack was a young man in the prime of his life, and he was busy making plans for his future. His family, friends, including his parents, Sabrina and Tony, have raised thousands of pounds in his memory, and they've raised, that money has went to the charities, mental health charities, and charities that dealt with the issues of those who decided they end their own life. And on Sunday, the 2nd of June, they are again repeating a family fun day, and it's a sponsored pier jump. And everybody is welcome to attend and participate. It's being held in Craigan Country Park. Guideline is for those taking part is £10 for adults and £5 for children, or alternatively you can sponsor somebody taking part. As I said, it's called Jumping for All Our Jacks, and it's for jacks everywhere. And that the family are saying that if anyone want to bring a photo to represent a loved one, a friend, or anyone that they know who passed away through suicide. And they're saying, let's help take the option of suicide off the table. And they have decided that the money raised from this event will go to the Inner City Assistance Team and Child and Adolescents Mental Health Service. So it would be nice if people in this chamber could come along, and it would be even better if they would take part. Thank you.
Emma?
Mayor, and just to thank Councillor Anley for bringing this forward. It's something that I have in my diary for Sunday as well. I want to commend the Edgar family for how they've approached this. You know, they've come out of a tragedy and they've decided that their approach is to raise money to try and tackle the issue of suicide, and it's incredible the work that they've done to date. And I, alongside Councillor Anley, would like to encourage people to attend the event and they sponsor people if you can, because it's for a really worthwhile cause. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on now to item number 6, and it's Ashwin and the Foyle Learning Community and the Vaping event.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to bring up today the event that you kindly hosted last Friday here in the Guildhall, where we saw over 230 young people from every single post-primary school here in Derry attend the event with their teachers, principals and teaching assistant staff. I think that the event came about because of a lot of concern with schools in the area and across Strabane as well, whereby they have been calling ambulances to their schools for young people that have been inhaling some of the substances that unfortunately are being put in the e-cigarettes, such as THC and spice. So I think you rightly reached out to the community who were already providing presentations to parents and young people within primary and post-primary schools. So in the room that day, we had Bogside Brandywell Health Forum, the Old Library Trust, Northwest Youth Services, Community Restorative Justice, Hive Cancer Support and Triax Neighbourhood Management Team, who collectively came together to create a presentation which looked at the health implications around vaping and also the environmental issues. We also had a pharmacist in the hall that morning as well, who was explaining to the young people about some of the issues that they're dealing with in the pharmacies and in around mouth health, and indeed other issues as well, which they are relating to vapes. I think it's something that was much needed. I think it gave reassurance to the schools that we are listening, that the health and wellbeing community, the community restorative justice, across the board, we're all listening and we're trying to make young people aware about the dangers in and around vaping, particularly when you don't know what's in that electric cigarette. So I wanted to thank you, Mayor, firstly, for hosting that event, and the Foyle Learning Network for bringing all the schools together for us to be able to work with the young people. And I do think that what our council, this council has done through yourself, Mayor, is create a model of good practice. And I would like to encourage and maybe ask our council to inform the other council areas that this is what we have been doing to tackle the issue around vaping, because I'm 100% sure that they're also dealing with the same issue. So again, thank you, Mayor, for hosting that. It's the start of something new. We've already been booked in to do specific workshops within the schools with the younger year groups. So thanks a million, and I hope to see it going on further afield. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And it certainly was a very, very useful event, and I did get great feedback, especially from the teachers and the pupils too as well, and for the work from the community groups as well. And certainly I will write a letter to all the chief executives of the other councils to see if they can maybe replicate what we're doing here, because it is a problem right across the board. So, Paul?
Very briefly, Mayor, just on the back of what Ashton has raised, and I don't think Councillor Deeney in her absence would forgive us if we didn't raise it, because she has been championing it since the last election. But it's just in relation to what Minister Muir had come out and said around banning vapes across the 6 counties. And that was on the back of what the British Prime Minister had said that he was going to do in banning vapes across the water. But now that an election has called, and I can't believe we've got 56 minutes in without somebody else mentioning it, but with an election being called now, it's looking unlikely that legislation is going to be passed by the British Prime Minister. So I suppose while you're writing to the other chief executives of the council, of the other councils, if you would also write to the Minister just for some clarity, given that this council area has been a champion in relation to disposable vapes, just to ask the Minister, was his intention to bring that legislation into 6 counties through a legislative consent motion, or was it to bring it in his own legislation? Because I think that's important for the future of vapes here and whether or not they are going to be outlawed or not. Thanks, Mayor.
Certainly will. Any other comments? No. Moving on, and it's Pat Murphy.
Yesterday, on May the 28th, Ireland formally recognised the State of Palestine as a sovereign and independent state and agreed to establish full diplomatic relations between Dublin and Ramallah. This recognition comes amidst the backdrop of an ongoing genocide and the daily slaughter of Palestinian men, women and children. The official death toll stands at 36,171 citizens, with thousands more presumed dead and buried under rubble and in Israeli mass graves. This council has brought numerous motions asking for the Irish government to recognise the Palestinian state, and it is right that this council recognises the Irish government decision. Can I propose that this council sends a letter to the Office of An Taoiseach acknowledging this progressive move? It is late in coming, but a very welcome development nonetheless.
Thank you. Pat, Councillor Harkin.
Yeah, thank you to the councillor for bringing up this, because I think it is a significant moment that the Irish state has finally formally acknowledged the state of Israel and that the Palestinian flag is now flying at Leinster House in Dublin. But it has taken far, far too long. It's taken 8 months of a genocide. And to be honest, this is in many ways been forced upon the Irish government because of the mass movement across Ireland demanding that they take action for Palestine. And nearly 40,000 people are dead, including tens of thousands of children. And it's the least that the Irish government can do. I do agree with you. I think it's a progressive step, but it comes because of people power across the island of Ireland. But I think that the Irish government are continuing to ignore the wishes of people across this island. They continue to have special trade status with Israel. And I think that meaningful action right now is BDS, because as we can see, Israel is ignoring all the symbolic solidarity that is happening all across the world. And what we need states to do is actually take action to punish Israel for the slaughter of innocent people in Gaza. So while I agree with you that we should acknowledge this, I think unless the Irish government enact BDS and break trade with Israel, the amount of trade that the Irish state does with Israel is astounding, worth billions of pounds every year. And I think that that is the only way that we can lead in terms of isolating Israel. You look at what's happening there right now, and I was planning to bring this up later in the meeting, but we can start this discussion now. I mean, Joe Biden told us that an invasion of Rafah would be a red line. He clearly lied, because he continues to arm the Israelis. He continues to deliver the bombs, that they are killing innocent children, living in tents, displaced children and families living in tents in Rafah. And I think that the Ireland clearly is not doing enough and has delayed action because they don't want to challenge Joe Biden. They don't want to challenge the European Union. They don't really want to challenge the imperial order that is allowing this slaughter to happen. So I commend you for bringing it up, because I think it's right to. In the last week, we've seen the International Criminal Court talk about issuing an arrest warrant for Netanyahu, which I'm sure as a council we would fully endorse and agree with.
and we've seen the Irish state acknowledge the Palestinian state. So it is a step forward, but I don't think we need to thank Simon Harris or Micheál Martin because they have done very, very little to support the Palestinian people. Thank you.
Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks to Councillor Murphy for raising this issue. One of the last times that I spoke in this chamber about the war in the Middle East, I said that I thought that the Irish government had missed the tone of the Irish people. It appears slowly, very slowly, but hopefully surely, that the new Taoiseach is listening and can hear what I can only describe as the cries of the Irish people to actually do something and stand up and speak out whenever they see the genocide that's happening. I, like Councillor Murphy, agree. I think we should acknowledge the fact that the Irish government have recognised Palestine as a separate state. I think that I also, in many ways, agree with Councillor Harkin. I think that they could do an awful lot more. But I think we should be definitely recognising when we have called for it in so many different ways and on so many different occasions. Let's hope that this is only the beginning of steps and in many ways radical steps that the Irish government will take to try and use their influence and authority to bring an end to what we're seeing happening across the Middle East. Yes, we would all like to see the Irish government doing a lot more, doing it a lot quicker, implementing and supporting the BDS movement in whatever way they can. But I think these small steps and these victories that we're seeing and these indications that a government who was blind, deaf to the whole thing are now starting to speak up and realise what's going on. I think it's important that we recognise that, but we still should be pushing and encouraging them to do a lot more to try and use their influence to bring this genocide to an end. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, like the previous speakers, whilst it is a positive move, it is a small and somewhat begrudgingly. You know, it as Councillor Harkin pointed out, it came from pressure, from pressure within the people of this country. Terminology to me is very important, and when we describe the war in the Middle East, dropping 2,000 pound devices of high explosives on tents on civilians who are basically cowering in them tents isn't a war. One side is a nuclear power, the other side has no conventional army, has no navy, has nothing. It's not a war. It's a slaughter. It's a genocide. The Israeli ambassador left the 26 county state. The Israeli ambassador should never have left. She should have been imprisoned. She should have been either imprisoned or unceremoniously booted out of this country. It is actually embarrassing of the lack of response from the establishments in this country, and they're completely out of touch. And I think we can't get away from this no towing and tipping the cap the Americans. The Americans, they could stop this tomorrow. The US administration could stop this genocide. It's being played out live. The world is watching, and they haven't done it. There's a lot of things that not only the Free State government could do, but elected representatives and parties, including parties that may be about to get responsibility in the 26 counties. So, you know, there is a chance that people could take a lot more moralistic and tougher line here, and we have that duty to do so. But as I say, that I'm happy to support the proposal here. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, and it's on to Councillor Fergal.
Chair.
Sorry, did I miss? Sorry,
Just-
go ahead,
No,
Alderman.
just on that there, we wouldn't be supporting the proposal. If you are taking a proposal, was a proposal made?
I'll second.
Mayor, can you put on your mic?
Sorry, can I just have a show of hands who's not supporting that I write the letter? Abstaining? Right, okay.
So 3 abstentions, 4 against, and everybody else for.
3 abstentions, 4 against, and everybody else for. Okay, thank you. Sorry, right now, to yourself now, Fergal, and it's on the topic of election pods.
Thank you again, Mayor. I would propose that Council writes to the Electoral Office requesting some supporting measures for citizens in the city and district who wish to register to vote. With the closure of the Electoral Office here in the city in 2019, there is a gap that the Electoral Office should address. Even small steps, such as providing Electoral Office registration kiosks or pods that could be placed in key council buildings, as there are in council buildings in other council areas. And also, for example, the provision of electoral advice clinics throughout the city and district, in particular in locations where there is poor or no broadband access. And I mean this respectfully, for help and support for citizens that may have limited IT skills. Where am I out? Mark. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, that will write that letter. Okay. Moving on now, Alex. Alex.
Good Mayor, and thank you. Let me come on 2 seconds to get this opened. So my piece for Chairperson business today is around the Foyle Cup, and to start off, just to congratulate Philip and his team and everybody else who's involved in the Foyle Cup, especially those behind the scenes who sometimes don't get the recognition that they deserve, and also to all the coaches and all the young people who have put on months, weeks and months of preparation, if not years, to get to this stage, to be able to represent their teams and city within such an anticipated tournament for everybody. Just on the back of that, Mayor, there's a significant issue with Eglinton and specifically when it comes to parking. Eglinton at the moment, outside of the additional Foyle Cup, where it would be upwards of 16 additional matches over that competition, Eglinton is used quite frequently by Eglinton Eagles and others, where the pitch would be used possibly five days out of 7. And the significant challenge what we have in Eglinton is the lack of parking. There is no parking facilities whatsoever for this sporting facility. A council one at that. And what's happening is the parents of the young people who don't live as local are travelling to as close as they can to get parked up, and obviously with great pride watching their child be involved in sport and cheering them on, so they have to park. And at the moment they're parking in 2 areas, specifically St. Canice's Park and Cottage Row, where the residents then who are living in this area are then affected, where they can't get out of their driveway or out of the street due to parking and double parking. And I'm sure those using the street for parking is doing all they can to try and not cause the disruption, but sadly it does. And I've been contacted by local residents in St. Canice's Park, as well as those in Cottage Row, but also by parents of the children involved within Eglinton Eagles who are concerned that such complaints being raised by residents, maybe towards council or elected reps and others, that it might have some sort of detrimental effect on their opportunity for their child to be involved locally in football. Of course, and I hope you agree that I reassured the parents that this wouldn't be the case, and that we as a council would work with them and residents to find any possible solutions. So that takes me to what I'm asking today, is that if council, anticipating the Foyle Cup, could look at there is some spare space down there, especially grass. There's a grass verge on the west of the football pitch that backs out on the Cottage Row. That would be an ideal parking solution in the short term. If council could look at that and possibly convert that somehow to be usable for the Foyle Cup, and council then to give a commitment in the long term to find something more sustainable. And just on that, I would like to thank council officers who I've been in contact with over several weeks, and even more so this week, on their work, working with us on this to try and find a solution. But just to bring it here today. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Councillor Cusack.
Thank you, Mayor. It's just in relation to Foyle Cup, and I raised the matter in Business and Culture Committee and proposed that we write to Tourism NI with regard to their denial of funding the Foyle Cup for a meagre 30,000, given the incredible event that it is and the amount of money that it actually brings to the city and district. It's one of the few events that everybody in this council area actually enjoys and appreciates. Anything from 6 to 8 million total, and that's notwithstanding the amount of attention it gives to the city and district, the bed nights, the ripple effect basically on the economy. I don't need to go through everything that's been said before, but I welcome the response by Deirdre Hargey that Tourism NI is to meet with the Foyle Cup organisers and go through that and explain their decision to them. Now, I don't know whether Conor Murphy will be back in situ before that, but I welcome that progress. It's really good progress, but we all need to make sure that that happens and that something comes out of it. I mean, we can all talk, but we actually need to see about a delivery, even if they work with other departments in order to get funding, cross-departmental funding for this, because it feeds into all areas of the economy and the community, education, everything. It goes hand in hand with what the Foyle Cup delivers to our city and region. I just want to also take this opportunity to thank the organisers. I mean, Michael Hutton has been absolutely unbelievable in all the years going through to make sure that this, event happens, first of all, and that everybody involved in it enjoys it, and it's safe, successful, productive, and it really is a great thing for young people, not only from our area, but from all over, these islands and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. And just before I bring on the next speaker, just to say that it certainly is a brilliant event, and it does deserve to get that tourism element of funding. And Conor Murphy has just returned to work yesterday, I believe. So, Councillor Norris.
Thank you, Mayor, for bringing me on, and thank you, Councillor Duffy, for raising this. As you know, I'm from Eglinton. I've been working, and I'll declare I was a coach in the Eglinton Eagles for 10 years, so I know a lot about it, but I've been working very closely with the parents and the residents. The Cottage Row is a street, a very small street, but it's got two problems. It leads you into the playing fields, and it also has a cricket club. So it can come very crazy in Cottage Row at any time. Now, I've requested double yellow lines, and I believe they were being put on the left-hand side, because there was one night you wouldn't have got a fire engine or an ambulance down that street. Today, I've raised a motion to look at I'm not going to talk about my motion now, but on it, we're going to talk about infrastructure. Last year, for the cricket final, Ryan and Barry kindly helped me to open up the playing field in the section that we would call the paddock beside it, where it allowed the people who were attending the final, the cricket club, to park in at St. Canice's Park. Unfortunately, we could have fitted 250 cars on. Unfortunately, 12 people used it. So a lot of people just want to park as close as they can get to something as they can. They'll park on paths, they'll park anywhere. So there's a lot of awareness. I'm working with Eglinton Eagles around active travel, trying to get people. There's 285 children at Eglinton Eagles, and about 85% of them live in Eglinton. So I'm trying to work with them about telling them to walk down. They're about 5-10 minutes at the very most to walk down to the pitch. There are about 15% of parents live outside, so that's about 50 or so parents has to come down to Eglinton. Part of my motion is to get a car park on the St. Canice's Park, and I think it's needed because it takes away the cars from St. Canice's and College Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in, and thank you to Councillor Duffy for raising this. We've probably all been contacted by the same people, residents and parents, and I think it's really important that we take their viewpoints on board from both sides and different opinions that have been given. I think based on the fact we're all on the same page and we've all been contacted, it would probably be really useful if we are liaising with Council that any responses are shared with all of us and that we can all be on the one page and just make sure we do find a solution for what is a really good community event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving swiftly on, we're nearly at an end. And it's Grace.
I just want to come in quickly and have a wee quick thank you to the meeting that happened yesterday with the representatives from the Ulster University. I personally felt that it was a very positive meeting and it gave me a great insight into how the university is moving forward. It's clear from it that there's been a lot of learning done over the years, and with the creation of the task force driven by Conor Murphy, bridges that weren't as strong as they could have been are stronger, and the vision of how this city will grow as an economic driver is extremely exciting. With this growth come change, and to this end, communication is key. Communication with all the stakeholders, but most importantly with our communities. I'm glad to see that the university are and will be holding engagement sessions with the local communities and with a community-led approach. This engagement is vital in alleviating fears or concerns and understanding what the community means, or what community means to us, the residents who live around the area. It was clear that the university are learning from mistakes that have been made by other university cities in the past, and this is a great benefit to us as a tool in positive growth and to put us firmly on the map as an attractive university city.
Thank you. And finally, Councillor Harkin on the health service budget.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. And first of all, I want to commend you on your year as Mayor. I think you've been an excellent Mayor. I know it's a very hard year because you've had to work very hard. You've been everywhere. And I think in the chamber, you've been very, very fair. And I know from chairing the committee this year how difficult it is to be a chair and also to try and participate in the meetings. So, well done on that. And also to Jason, the Deputy Mayor, because I know I've learned over the last 5 years that it's not an easy job. There's a lot of work in it. So fair play to both of you for the work you've done over the last year. Look, I think that we all know that our health service has been facing a huge crisis over many, many years, driven by Tory austerity. And also, I believe, by decisions that have been made over many, many years at Stormont. And a significant event happened yesterday where a budget was passed in Stormont, and we didn't have a government for many, many years. So there was high expectations about this budget. And I was very concerned and have been very concerned, and I'm sure others have been very concerned about the budget and its impact on our health and social care service. And it alarmed me that a quarter of the MLAs voted against the budget yesterday. It alarmed me the former health minister voted against this budget in the executive and also campaigned against it and refused to support it in the assembly. And that should set off alarm bells for us. And the projected impact of the budget, I think we should just acknowledge what it is, because what has been laid out is that there will be 1,200 staff cut, that there will be hundreds of hospital beds cut, that there will be hundreds, thousands of hours of domiciliary care lost, which will have a huge impact on our community, and there will be a loss of hundreds of home care beds as well. So we have a crisis already, and if the impact of the budget leads to these cuts, I think that would be absolutely unacceptable. It's unacceptable because the government has said protecting the health service is an absolute priority. Protecting our staff that work in the health service is an absolute priority. We have backed many motion calling for safe staffing that has come from the trade unions over many, many years, and this seems to be going in the opposite direction. So I think that what we should do as a council is write to the executive and ask for clarification on the impact of the budget that was passed yesterday on the health and social care service, and call for assurances as well that there won't be mass layoffs of staff, that there won't be the loss of hundreds of hospital beds, that there won't be the loss of domiciliary care hours in our communities, and that there won't be the loss of care home beds as well. I think that that would just take the health service in the wrong direction, and I think we want to send that urgent message as soon as we can to the executive. There's many other issues with the budget. There's the demands of workers. They'll be going on strike again next week for the implementation of the pay and grading review, which they were promised 6 years ago. And I think we have to stand with those workers when they're on the picket lines this next week. And there's many, many, many other issues. But I think that the health service and the commitments that parties have made to protecting the health service, this must be a priority for us as a council. And I think that further austerity for the health service would just be completely unacceptable. Thank you, Mayor.
Have you a seconder for that proposal? Thank you. Can we just, a couple of wee minutes just to read it, please? Folks, are we nearly ready? Are we okay? Has everybody had time to read and consider the proposal? Yes? Am I hearing yes? Okay. Right. Is everybody in agreement with this proposal? Councillor Jackson?
Gormagoodavia, and thanks to Councillor Harkin for bringing this. They put it on the table of council. They discussed today, and I think in Councillor Harkin's opening remarks, he had the nail on the head. All our public services have been decimated by over a decade of Tory cuts. There's a cabinet of millionaires in London that have no regard or don't recognise and realise the value of our public services, not least our health service. And we have seen how our public services and indeed councils have been underfunded have been impacted by over a decade of underfunding. And what we've seen yesterday was a budget that was set under very, very challenging circumstances. We have had all the parties come forward and say that health needs to be prioritised, health needs to be protected. And I know our First Minister, Michelle O'Neill, has come out on the back of the budget to say that health has been protected throughout the budget discussions. But the sample fact remains is that the block grant is inadequate. There needs to be a fundamental change around how our public services have been are funded, and it's not just on the basis of party. It needs to be they reverse the damage that has been caused by over a decade of austerity. So I think we heard from the finance minister yesterday, who claimed that, who stated very clearly that it was her view, it was her wish to see a 12-week consultation, a draft budget to be published, and a 12-week consultation, the period to be allowed, but the time constraints simply wouldn't allow that, and we need to get money to departments as soon as possible. They deliver on workers' pay. They deliver on the many pressures that exist right across our public services, including education, infrastructure, and all of that. So, it's extremely disappointing that our health service, we're not in a position to fund everything that our health service needs. But I think the finance minister made it very clear yesterday that in order to do that would take the entire block grant. For the vast majority of the block grant, they fund the asks or the need that exists within our health system. So the system is broken. It needs reviewed. It needs there's a huge job of work to ensure that our public services get to a stage where they're fit for purpose, because at the moment they're not. And if this proposal helps inform us as council around what steps need to be taken to get us in a fit and healthy position in relation to our health system, then we're fully supportive of it. But we're not oblivious to the challenges that exist within executive departments. We know that our entire public services is completely underfunded, and there needs to be a fundamental change around how our public services are not only funded, supported, but delivered right across the 6 counties. So we're supportive of the proposal that's in front of us, and we look forward to hearing from the executive around implications for our health department. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Christopher. Fergal, you're speaking on this. It's not one, but
Just on this here.
yeah,
just
no,
point it
that's
out.
okay. I thought I missed you out for something else there. No, that's okay. And then it's yourself, right?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, just listen to the conversations there about the health service, and there's no doubt that is a priority for all of us. And I'd like to welcome the nomination of Pat Cullen as the Sinn Féin representative for the forthcoming Westminster election. She will be standing, Pat Cullen will be standing for Manus South Tyrone. I'm sure you've seen Pat many time on the television, and she has been a fantastic voice for healthcare workers. And I've no doubt you'll not be surprised to be saying, I hope she gets elected, that she'll look for better funding for all public
Mayor, point of order.
services.
Mayor, point of order, please. That's outrageous. As I understand it, first and foremost, I am speaking to the chair, but point of order, as I understand it, Pat Cullen is only going forward to a selection convention. Obviously, Councillor Leonard knows more than the rest of us, but to come on here and say that I hope that she's elected is ridiculous. It should be stopped right away. I'm pretty sure, Mayor, that if I came on here and said that I hope Colin Eastwood's elected on the 4th of July, that you would stop me, and you should stop me. So allowing a colleague to do it is out of order, in my opinion, and should be stopped right away.
My point was that Pat Cullen has been a fantastic representative for healthcare workers.
Yeah.
And I would hope that that
I know
continues
what I know
for the
what your
benefit
point
and health
was.
of everyone.
Yeah, Fergal, I know what your point was, Pat, as a nursing director, so yeah. Councillor Tierney.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, and thanks to Councillor Harkin for the proposal, and I was only too happy to second it. When I listened to Councillor Jackson, I nearly thought that Sinn Féin voted against the budget yesterday in the Assembly. I had to double check with colleagues. Councillor Harkin is right. This is down to the Tories. I agree with Councillor Jackson when he says that they don't care about our public services over here. But the last line of that motion, I believe, with respect to Councillor Harkin, is probably the most important in the whole lot of it, where it asks that no type of care will be subject to painful cuts. Now, I think everyone will agree, and it's been said for a number of years, that during the COVID pandemic, in fairness to Robin Swan, proved his ability as a minister and proved his credibility as a minister as well. And when you have a health minister telling his executive colleagues that what you're giving me isn't enough, then we have a problem when they're not listening. And that's exactly what they've done. They did not listen to the health minister. They did not take his advice, and they ran through a budget which tells us that there is going to be painful cuts within the health service. There is, because there's not enough money, and people don't have to take my word for it. They can take the health minister's word. He knows the books there. So we need to understand what the implications of those cuts are going to be. We need to understand what they're going to be for this trust area in particular, particularly when we have an executive talking about regional imbalance and issues such as that. We need to make sure that we understand what the implications are for our constituents across this council district and across this trust area. We are more than happy to support the proposal from Councillor Harkin, and thankfully in the Assembly yesterday voted against the budget for reasons such as this. I do accept the point that there's not enough money in the block grant, but the reality is that we have a health minister and most likely other ministers telling us that they don't have enough money. That reason that they don't have enough money and the reason that our public services are in such bad condition is because for 5 of the last 7 years, they've been allowed to free fall. And that is because we could not, and the parties within the Assembly could not form a government or refused to form a government. And that is part of the reason why our public services are in such bad condition. That is part of the reason why we need so much investment in health. And I think it's absolutely wrong of anybody to come into this chamber or to go into the Assembly chamber and say that health was protected, because the health minister told us that it wasn't. And that's the reality. The SDLP will support the proposal in front of us. Thank you.
Okay, and I just want to say, it's not, I think all ministers will say their budget is not enough. They've been saying that for year in, year out. All ministers across all departments have said that their that their budgets is certainly not enough to do what they're supposed to do, and the fault with that lies with the Westminster grant that's coming over. Okay, sorry.
The one factor of it, the other factor, in my opinion, is the fact that that people refused to form a government for 5 of the last 7 years, and our public services were allowed to free fall. That, in my opinion, is another factor.
Well, that's your opinion. Okay, and Councillor Cusack.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks to Councillor Harkin. I'll be supporting the motion. My father was in hospital last week and he waited 24 hours in A&E in order to get a bed and was told that was really, really good. That was excellent. And that's shocking. It's not the fault of the hospital, it's not the fault of the staff, but that's shown us that we should be thankful that somebody, an elderly man in his late 70s, has to wait 24 hours in a chair in order to get a bed. So that's the reality of what we're facing. Also, it's the knock-on effect going down the line here. We've got people in hospital beds that we can't actually get out of the hospital beds because there's nowhere to put them. I work in a setting where there's elderly and vulnerable, and they go into hospital and then they can't leave hospital because they don't have packages. They don't have care packages because there's nobody to actually give the care. I can't get social workers because they're all leaving because of the stress, because they're undervalued, because they're underpaid. There's so many areas that this is a domino effect. It starts from one and everybody's affected by it. And then we're into the residential care, elderly care. They're closing care homes. When we're an ageing population with smaller families, there's less and less people to look after the elderly. So they should be in environments where they're safe, they're secure, they're looked after, and they've got medical and professional care 24/7. And what are they doing? They're cutting them. They're closing them. This does not make sense. This does not make sense in any matter means. What they're also doing is they're people who do go into residential care, taking whatever they've saved, taking whatever they've built, taking whatever they've bought in order to pay for the care, even though they've paid for it the whole of their working lives. And when they can't do that, they're taking it off their family who can't afford it because they're desperate to get that care for their loved one. So yes, something needs to be done. It needs to be done as a matter of urgency. It needs to be looked at because we're just going down a terrible, terrible hole here, and it'll be more difficult to actually get out of it. We're going to end up like America, where basically if you can't pay for it, that's it, you're on the street. So while it may seem quite an exaggeration, we're not too far away from that reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Donnelly.
Chair, and Councillor Cusack has just nearly taken all the points that I was going to make. Like Councillor Cusack, I've been in an unfortunate position to be visiting the coronary care for the last almost on a nightly basis for the last 3 weeks. But at the beginning of that, Chair, I was in an unfortunate position to be in, I think it's what's called resuscitation. And what I seen there would scare the life out of you. It reminded me of something out of MASH for the older people amongst us here. The conditions that patients and staff are enduring is absolutely shocking. The conditions that they're just run completely off their feet. And when somebody says that the system isn't working, the system has never worked, but the system is now being driven more and more by capitalism, and it is driving people into private insurance. Those who can afford it, those who can't afford it, just have to grin and bear it and suffer, and it's absolutely shocking. And people in here can attack different ministers or who's responsible. It's irrelevant what minister is in position, is because they can only drive it along that track. As I've said before, the system's broke, but the system has always been broke. Maybe getting worse now, but the system that is in place at the minute needs to be torn down and built up. And only when that happens, Mayor, that can we start getting the level, the equality, the equity, the treatment for the people of this island. But at the minute, for those staff working in them conditions, and is any wonder that a lot of them are being forced out, driven out, going to different countries, not where the conditions aren't as bad, the pay conditions are better. And it's only until we look at the whole root cause of it, rather than cheap scoring points of whatever minister happens to be in a particular position at that time, is that we put a proper health service that will benefit everybody on this island. Chair.
Okay, Alderman Kerrigan.
Sorry, Mayor. No, in regards to that there, we're content enough to support the motion there that's been brought forward. There are major concerns in regards to the health budget, but there is the situation that it's trying to balance the budget. And again, there was 184 million, and I see there are individuals who try and political point scoring as well, not in this chamber, but in other areas, in regards to MLAs voting against or voting for this, a cut in the health service. It is, as has been stated, there's only so much to go around. And again, what are you going to cut? What other departments are not going to get that money? We're consistently in here complaining about the state of the roads and education needs, and there's needs right across the board. No, every minister would have looked for the money and didn't get what they're looking for. And again, I do know the ongoing issues there with the health service. One of the issues consistently raised in my own area is in regards to the general public cannot get in to see their ordinary GP, and then they're going putting additional pressure onto the A&E. So there's a factor there that needs to be looked at. The general practices have to open up their doors and let the people back in. They closed at COVID and they have never properly opened again, and that's what you will get from a lot of constituents. They'll say that they can't see their ordinary GP, they're continually on the phone, can't get in, and therefore just sit in A&E until you're seen. And that's adding on to all those waiting lists that everyone else has, that there's elderly people sitting in hospitals, sitting in chairs for it's not even hours now, it's days. And again, it's that knock-on effect. So there are improvements that can be done in there, but it'll be interesting to see what response we get. And again, it has been issued there in regards to the Tory cuts for this so many years there. Well, come the early hours of the 4th of July and into the 5th of July, I don't think it'll be Tory cuts at that stage. And to be truthful, I'm not seeing any major boost or under a Labour government if it comes in. So we'll just see what changes there are then. Hopefully there will be. The block grant's just not enough. There needs to be amendments to that, the Barnett formula and how we are allocated money, and hopefully that will be undertaken. But again, it is the issue. No one got what they wanted. And again, fully sympathetic to the health minister and that, but everyone's trying to get what they can do. But there are improvements that can be made, but that's far from an ideal. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Guy, were you on the list?
Thanks, Mayor, for letting me in, and thanks to Councillor Harkin for bringing this motion. The application form's in the post. So basically, totally agree with all previous speakers. Nobody would ever really go against the health service, as they say, but obviously in Stormont we have seen where parties have made promises and been unable to keep them because of the budget. It is Tory austerity, and that's basically what it is, and it's a Barnett formula. It's not fit for purpose, and it needs rejigged. But that's not improving the health of anybody here anytime soon. And I can see my colleague's point for not backing the health, for not backing the budget, because he can't make the cuts. It's down to the bare bones as it is. Basically, as Alderman Kerrigan says about GP services putting pressure on A&E, and I agree with that. But Robin has taken, before he stepped down, he said that he was going to implement more cash into the GP services to try and help that. So, with more cuts coming down the line, less beds, we all know ourselves. My own mother waited 36, 37 hours to get a bed after she had a mini stroke. You know, we heard of other people who were sitting in storerooms. A lady from the city sat in a storeroom for a full week. My sister sat in that storeroom for over 24 hours as well. You know, so we can all sit here and we can say about, oh, we know, and there is other places, that there is other departments that need money. There's other departments that can also help health in basically what way they operate in trying to improve the health of people, so that we don't basically be caught out and people be lining up in A&Es and GPs with serious issues. However, I think that there was, am I right in saying there was an extra $250 million that has been put back into the summer monitoring round? Now, why couldn't we have brought that forward and let the next government deal with trying to get more money off them then? At least it would have sorted a few other places, and it would have been divided up amongst all our departments as well. So, you know, let's think about using the money, get it used, and then go back and ask for more, rather than basically saying, oh, we'll accept this and we'll move on. Voting for that budget was accepting the measly crumbs that we're getting from the Tory government. Thanks, Mayor.
I have no other indicated speakers, and and I don't see anybody against that proposal, so the proposal will go. It was my mistake, Councillor Barr, that when I was writing out my list of chairperson's business who wanted to speak, I scrolled back a week or two, but I missed yours, and I apologise. That if I had got it, you would have been first to speak today, so
No problem there.
apologies for that.
I too like to commend you just on a very successful year as mayor. I felt your term was conducted in a very fair and equitable manner, so well done. I'll be very brief. It's just want to mention to the staff of Knockavo Special School in Strabane, Aidan McCrossan, who was a recently awarded Teacher of the Year, has been a teacher for 15 years, working across mainstream EOTAS and special schools, carrying out a very challenging role in an equally challenging environment. Aidan is a Makaton teacher working with non-verbal kids with severe learning difficulties and PMLD. As I say, he was recently working in Knockavo School in Strabane and was awarded the accolade from Families First NI. Also receiving an award was Anne-Marie McShane, who works in the Sunshine Room in Knockavo, providing nurturing support and care for the school's most vulnerable pupils and their families. Anne-Marie won Best Support Staff Award. These rewards are a reflection of the staff and Knockavo School itself and the fantastic work they do. I would just ask that Council could recognise these achievements in some way. Maybe the incoming mayor might host a wee reception for recipients. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Good, Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Barr for bringing this to the attention of Council. And I do hope that the incoming Mayor will host a reception to mark such an achievement. And I don't say it lightly, but having visited Knockavo, these two staff members that have been recognised are just testament to the work of all staff in Knockavo and right across probably our special schools, but Knockavo in particular as a gem in Strabane, and the pupils that attend it are so well supported by the staff that are there. And I know that both recipients of those awards probably say that they couldn't do their job without the team that are around them as well, and it is very much a team effort, as it has to be, particularly in a special educational needs setting. But just to congratulate both of them, so well deserved, and look forward to the continued success of Knockavo and its staff. Thank you to Councillor Barr again.
Fair go, and then Alderman Hussey.
Mayor, I'm declaring interest, and I'm a member of the Board of Governors in Knockavo, but I just also like to thank Councillor Barr for bringing this to the attention of the Council. And there's no doubt for any of you that have been in Knockavo, the minute you walk through the door, there is such an air of happiness, support, well-being, and such a real desire, enthusiasm to help all the children and young adults that attend Knockavo. So well done to them all.
Thank you, Mayor. And I can only endorse the remarks that have already been said. I don't have to declare an interest because I'm a former member of the Board of Governors of Knockavo, not currently. But as Councillor Leonard's saying there, the work that's done in Knockavo is absolutely outstanding. And it's great to see two of the staff rewarded for their contribution to the school populace. And as Councillor Boggs has said, you know, it's a team, and two of the team have been recognised, and quite rightly so. But the entire school
from top to very bottom is deserving of credit, and it's great to see this recognition. Thank you, Chair. Mayor.
Councillor Hart.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to concur with the previous speakers. I have a sister-in-law as a classroom assistant in the school, and I know the good work that she has done and the staff in the school. And if you can cast your mind back, you had a visit to the school and I joined you with Councillor Farrell, and we met the student council, and it was just absolutely brilliant to see how they interacted and how well we received we were. So congratulations to the staff.
Okay, and just to add my congratulations to those two staff. Indeed, I did go to the school, and it is a great place of learning and security for all the pupils that go there. So I'm sure the new incoming mayor will host a reception if an email is sent to the mayor's office. Okay. So finally, folks, I think that is the end of Chair's business. So we're now looking at 5 to 4. Do we want to take a break now, or do we want to? We take a break now. Right. Okay. Your seats again now. Thank you. So can I just grab this for a wee? All right, to take this just to read off. Right, folks, we okay. Just to go through now, item number 6, and it's confirmation of the open minutes of the meeting of the Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Wednesday, the 24th of April 2024, pages 7 to 50. Could I have a poser and seconder, please? Thank you, thank you. Any matters arising? Alderman Hussey?
Thank you, Mayor. Item C183, the invitation that you were to send to the newly appointed Taoiseach, inviting them to the city. I presume it was a mayor letter that's already gone. Just the status of that, does that invitation still stand as of Monday when a new mayor comes in? What way does that work? So the invitation is still there?
It
I
still
presume?
stands, yes. Yes, still stands.
That's grand, thank you.
Okay. Connor?
Thanks, Mayor. It's C18/24 or 18186/24. The Irish Unity Working Group, and it's just to highlight its work, has completed its first round of consultation with ratepayers on what they'd like to see in constitutional change. The second round of the consultation will be discussed at our next meeting on Friday.
Connor, can you move your mic over to you, please? Yeah.
It's clear from the consultation so far that ratepayers and sectoral groups want to see the planning process begin and a citizens' assembly established by the Irish government. The Citizens' Assembly is an example of participation by citizens in the decision-making process. Typically, citizens are selected to participate from a broad cross-section of the population. These citizens are asked to consider an issue or a range of issues, and they may receive presentations from experts to help them form opinions and make recommendations. A submission process enables those not directly involved in the Citizens' Assembly to make contributions. The findings in the Citizens' Assembly are presented to the House of the Oireachtas and a report with recommendations. The government is obliged then to act on those recommendations. So this is why the work of the Irish Unity Working Group in Derry and Strabane is so important, as are other Irish Unity Working Groups and other councils across the north. So I look forward to the meeting on Friday and the consultation process to continue in its second phase. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay.
Sorry, Mayor, can I just add that I would encourage as many members as possible to attend that.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Harkin?
Thank you, Mayor. And it is C189 and C190, if we can take those two issues together, because they're both about Gaza. And first, I want to just acknowledge that the PSNI did respond to our ask for clarification around the arrest of BDS activists. I think the letter itself doesn't really give any clarity. And I urge the PSNI to drop those charges. And on the back of that, I just want to welcome the fact that the legislation that the Tory government was attempting to bring through Westminster in order to criminalise BDS and also to stop councils like our own and councils across Britain, and also to stop public bodies and colleges and universities from implementing the boycott, divestment and sanctions, has been defeated. So this is a major, major victory for the Palestine Solidarity Movement, and we played a role in that by sending a very clear message to Rishi Sunak and the Tories and anyone else in Westminster who was attempting to criminalise and shut down Palestine Solidarity. And I think that just shows the strength of the Palestine Solidarity Movement across these islands. And I think it also indicates the growing isolation of the apartheid Israeli regime for their slaughter of people in Gaza and their growing violence in the West Bank. The second part of the second issue that 189 addresses, Mayor, is we had written to Joe Kennedy III, and we had written to Claire Cronin, the US ambassador for the United States government in Dublin, requesting that they support and allow the Gaza flotilla to leave Istanbul to make its way to Gaza with desperately needed humanitarian aid. And we also asked them to back the demand for an end to US military supplies going to Israel. And unfortunately, I don't see any response from either Joe Kennedy III or Claire Cronin. These are two of Biden's representatives on the island of Ireland. And it's very clear that, and we discussed this a bit earlier, but that Biden has broken the promise that he made to the world. And that promise was that an invasion of Rafah would be a red line for US support for the Israeli occupation forces' genocidal war on Gaza. And clearly, Israel has now invaded Rafah. They have forced hundreds of thousands of people who were displaced to Rafah to now move, and they are now bombing people who are residing in refugee tents inside Rafah. And I think that this is just sick. That innocent children, that we are watching innocent children being slaughtered after the American president promises that an invasion of Rafah would be a red line for his government support for Israel's genocidal war. And I think that there's no way to describe Biden now other than complicit and guilty for genocide. He is as guilty as Netanyahu. Rishi Sunak, in my opinion, and in the Palestine Solidarity Movement's opinion across this island, is guilty, along with Netanyahu, for the death of 40,000 Palestinians in Gaza and for the destruction of Gaza itself. The leader of the European Union, who talks about democracy and support for freedom, Ursula von der Leyen, is just as guilty for assisting and supporting genocide. And I think we have to send a very clear message that we can see what they are doing, what they've attempted to do, and because of Israel's genocidal actions and because of the response of the world, a majority of people across this world and here in Ireland oppose what these governments are backing. They've tried a PR stunt, which is some criticisms of Israel, but continuing to arm the regime, continuing to give Israel all the weapons it needs to continue to slaughter innocent people in Gaza. And I believe at the start of this conflict, Israel told the United States what they were going to do, which was, one, flatten Gaza, drive the population out of Gaza as a second Nakba, and the United States backed them in this. And then as it's become difficult to defend this to people around the world, including a growing number of Americans, you can see across America there is a youth rebellion against what Biden is supporting. Young people are heroically building encampments, fishing down police violence. It's absolutely amazing and inspiring. And that they are trying to put a bit of distance between themselves and Netanyahu, but they continue to back Netanyahu's destruction of Gaza and death cycle. So, look, there's this weekend, there's going to be this Friday night across Ireland, there are vigils and bridges. I looked at a map and I seen hundreds of vigils being planned right across the island. So I want us as a council to send that message condemning what Biden and Sunak and Ursula von der Leyen are doing, but also to send a message of that they also call for people to support the vigils that are happening. The one in Derry is going to be at 7 o'clock on the Peace Bridge on Friday night, and I think that this will be a way for Ireland to continue to put pressure on the Irish government, also send a message to Palestinians that no matter what Biden and others are doing, that we are standing with them, and we can see what they're going through, and we can see the lies of the great powers across the world right now. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Sorry. Have you a seconder for that, Councillor Harkin? Yep, okay.
Mayor, can we
Right.
take a couple of minutes just to consider the proposal?
Yeah, I have a couple of speakers on it, but I'm going to give people a couple of minutes just to have a wee look at it. Okay, folks, are you happy enough? You've had long enough to look at that? Okay. I'm going to go ahead now. Councillor McDade. I'd you down to speak. No, if you're not, that's okay. Councillor Danley. I thought you wanted to
Chair,
go
no, I'll just keep it short and sweet. Happy to support the motion. And I think, Chair, what's known as the Great Satan has certainly been living up to its name. The US, whilst welcoming potential arrest warrants against Russia, the regime in Russia, as soon as this transfers the state of Israel, it is completely undermined. They then claim that the ICC has no jurisdiction. US Secretary of State Blinken calls it shameful and jeopardizes truce or peace talks. And Biden does the same, threatens that there'll be no ceasefire. So there's a hypocrisy here, and it needs to be called out. You can't, if you're going to criticize the Russians and welcome arrest warrants and action, and then say that it has no jurisdiction over the Palestinians and what the state of Israel is doing to them. It's just completely immoral and irrational. So happy to support the proposal, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Kerrigan.
Thank you, Mayor. And we'll just be consistent in regards to our approach on this. And we have opposed these proposals in regards to the Gaza and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and will continue to make opposition to it. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. Continue to be shocked that people want to be consistently ignore what's going on in the Middle East and ignore people being murdered in their own beds. But I suppose that's for them. The SDLP are happy to support the proposal before us. Whilst there's quite a lot up there, there's very little, if anything, in it that we would disagree with. So we're happy to do that. I suppose I don't want to hold up the meeting, Mayor, and by any stretch of imagination, but in terms of a practical position on it, I understand, obviously, council encourages participation, what that means, but practically, what does that mean? You know, how are we going to, what tools are we going to use to encourage people to attend the rally on Friday night at the Peace Bridge? Or is it just going to be that this proposal passes and we hope that someone somewhere picks it up and advertises it for us? Or are we going to do anything practically to encourage people to attend this rally as a corporate body? Because I think that's important, that whatever we're agreeing on here, that we're sending out to the wider public to, as it says in the proposal, encourage that type of participation. So if I could have that question answered, but in terms of the wider proposal, SDLP will be supporting it. Thank you.
Right, we'll come back to that question just when I get all the speakers. So, Christopher.
Mayor, and from our perspective, we're supportive of the motion that's in front of us, and thank Councillor Harkin for bringing it. What's happening in Gaza at this minute in time is grotesque, and it's something that we were all shocked at the blatant genocide that's happening before our eyes on our mobile phones and TV screens. It's been played in front of us, and it almost got to the stage where you don't believe things could get worse, and then you seen what happened in Rafah. This and anybody that, I think it's a responsibility for all of us. They use our voices where we can. They be calling out and being a voice, particularly for the innocent civilians that are being slaughtered on a daily basis. So we've been consistent in relation to that. We will use our voices. They challenge what's happening. They challenge complicity, and we'll continue to do that. And contained within the proposal, it's encouraging to see the emphasis on BDS, which we've been consistent in relation to you highlighting that as a tool and to be putting pressure on the Israeli regime. So we acknowledge within the city and district there's a wide range of mobilisations. They show support for the Palestinian people, and they take place on a weekly basis right across the city and district, and we're fully supportive of them. We're fully supportive of the event that's to take place by the Derry PSC on Friday night, and would encourage others to attend. So we're supportive of the proposal that's in front of us. I know that there's been a lot said in relation to Rishi Sunak and his support for the state of Israel or the Israeli regime that's involved in the genocide. It doesn't give me any confidence whatsoever that Keir Starmer is going to take a different approach, and we're not hearing anything from Britain around the main political parties around how they would stand up for the Palestinian people. It's clear that their support lies full square behind an Israeli state that's involved in genocide. So I believe that we could be coming back at this in a few months' time and adding all our leaders to this list, unless that grassroots movement, that BDS campaign, ordinary citizens can inform themselves in relation to BDS, take decisions and put pressure where it matters, and it is the pockets of companies that are complicit in the genocide that's going on in Palestine. So we're encouraged to see the BDS element in proposal, and we're fully supportive of it. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. So I've no more speakers on this proposal, but it's clear that there is a difference of opinion. So if maybe those who are wishing to either abstain or vote against, could they please raise their hands? Thank you. So abstain. 3 abstentions and 4 against. Yeah. And everybody else for. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks to everybody who supported that. If I could just respond to Councillor Tierney's proposal, if we could agree to share the image for Friday night. And I acknowledge that there's lots and lots of Palestine solidarity events happening, and that is, I'm very proud of the people of Derry for doing that on a daily basis, and people right across the island. But that there is an image that we could share, and we've been sharing. We've had a discussion about sharing more about the council's support for BDS. But if that could be shared today or tomorrow to let people know, there's several platforms that the council utilises, including What's On in Derry and Strabane, which is a big following, in addition to the Derry City and Strabane District Council Facebook page. And I think that would let a lot of the residents across the district know about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, yes, and at this stage, I'm just going to bring in the city solicitor now.
No question. Sorry, Mayor, we'll take on board that comment, assuming members are comfortable with it, and share that on social media tomorrow. And just, Councillor Harkin, not clear on the image that you're referring to, but maybe we'll find that when we check it out on the website, will we? Okay.
Clear for you too? Okay, thank you. Alderman Guy.
Mayor, could I just ask, and I don't know whether Councillor Harkin knows this or not, but has the organisers contacted the EFI about the vigil on the bridge? I know the last one they held, which was New Year's Day, the numbers involved totally closed off the bridge. I had a lot of complaints about it. People couldn't use the bridge to get through because of the numbers on it. And I know there is an actual maximum number of people allowed on that bridge at one time. So I don't know whether DFI have been contacted about this.
I'm not aware of any contact made, and you might need to contact the organisers, or would that be? Yeah, go ahead.
Can I speak? Sorry. Yeah. Just in response to Alderman Guy. Yeah, look, that what you've been raised is noted, and I'll make sure to raise that with the organisers. But I know that they've attempted to the best of their ability to inform the relevant authorities about any actions that are being organised, and this is being publicised on in local newspapers. But I'll make sure that the IPSC organisers are aware of that question.
Okay, so moving on, I've no other speakers on item 6. So moving on now to item 8, sorry. Was that what I had your name? Sorry, Catherine, that was a mistake, yeah.
Thank you. It was just actually on C190 as well, 24, the same as what Sean has raised. And it's just, I had asked last month just about who has responsibility for the under the bridge, the steps, just for maintaining the grass and that. And I was just wondering, had anything been found out for me? Thank you.
Connor, would you like to come on that, please?
What's the location?
Sorry, the steps under the bridge at the Bay Park.
DFI have responsibility for those, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I haven't missed anybody else that had a matter arising. No. Sean, I really thought you were putting your hand up there. No, I say that now. Right, confirmation of the open minutes of the special meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Wednesday, the 1st of May, pages 51 to 62. Could I have a proposer and seconder, please?
Close it, Mayor.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Alex. Any matters arising? Emma?
Mayor, it's not for any specific item, but more to congratulate the people that were involved in that meeting. Anybody else that was at the collaborative working between everybody to get the work on Foyle Street kicked off is to be commended. I think it was really, really good at that meeting to see the amount of collaborative working that's happening, and that the work has now started with the car park over there, and the bus station's been changed across, and that's been done pretty seamlessly. So it's just to congratulate everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing that work happening. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, the adoption of the open minutes of the following committees. The monthly Governance and Strategic Planning Committee held on Tuesday, the 7th of May, 2024, pages 63 to 80. Could I have a proposer and seconder, please? Thank you, Alderman Cook and Councillor Tierney. Matters arising? Paul? And
Gary Mugget, Mayor, and it's just GSP 93/24, and it's just to get a sense from officers. It's been bandied about in the Assembly, but I suppose just from a council perspective, what is the latest update that we have in relation to the Strabane Public Realm Scheme? I know I got an update from an officer that we were told that it passed DFC Casework Committee, but it has kind of come to a standstill. And the Finance Minister was asked questions about it, and an answer came back just today about whether or not the DFC Minister had then passed that to DOF for approval. And her response indicates that her department officials haven't seen it, but that when they did, they would see it. It would be given urgency. So it's just, is there any kind of feel from officers about whether they have heard back from DFC or not?
So, Mayor, I probably can't shed too much more light on that, as we understand that it has passed Casework Committee. And we've asked officials within DFC to advise of the pathway to get to a point where we receive a letter of offer. How does it work? Which minister's desk is it on? And does it have to go to Department of Finance, having been cleared by the DFC minister? We haven't yet got clarity on that, but we're continuing to ask.
Just a very brief point. Would it be possible, John, then, through you, Chair, if we can get an update when you hear of that? Because businesses, in particular in Strabane, are growing more and more impatient that this seems to be moving, but now isn't moving again, and nobody really seems to know where it's going.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So absolutely. So I'll either get an update and bring it into Governance Committee next week, or latest E&R the week after, but we'll stay on it. Thank you.
okay, Councillor Farrell?
Thanks, Mayor. It's item 95/24, which was the Directorate Delivery Plan, specifically about the improvement action, where we would continue to convene the financial working group to scrutinise expenditure and efficiencies. And obviously, the elephant in the room is the fact that we have no clarity whatsoever on what's happening with our rate support grant. It has been cut to a level that it's basically unrecognisable. It's been cut to ribbons, it's been torn to shreds. It was first introduced in 2008. If it had been protected, ring-fenced, adjusted for inflation, we would get over £6 million per year. Last year, we got less than £1 million. So that means local ratepayers are picking up the tab for that £5 million, and we believe that is wrong. You know, it shouldn't be happening. So we do need action from Stormont about reinstating that rate support grant. So I've got a question. I know we have sent various letters to the Permanent Secretary previously. I think we have sent a letter to the Executive, possibly the Communities Minister. There's been no movement with this. So is it time for another letter? And could I ask the City Solicitor, I know there is a JR ongoing. Has there been any movement with that, or could you provide any sort of update on that, please?
Yeah, Mayor, through you, we're not leading on that judicial review, but we did contribute in relation to it. But I'll see if I can get an update and circulate that to members as to where it stands.
Thank you, Philip. Well, I would have a proposal, Mayor. I'll just send it to Jill now. We are keen to see the rate support grant reinstated. We want to remind the Communities Minister that this is important to the poorer councils across the north. I think every executive party wants to see regional balance, and the easiest way to deliver regional balance is to reintroduce and reinstate the rate support grant at its level in 2008, adjusted for inflation. So if parties are serious about tackling regional balance, this is a way that it can be done overnight. So I'm going to send this to Jill now. Thank you.
When we're witnessing that, have we anybody else who wants to speak on anything else? The governance? No, that's okay. Right, folks, have you all had a chance to read that? Councillor Gallagher?
Just on it, man. I don't know, the poster said that we've sent letters before, but I've said it before in this chamber, I think it is far more effective that we went, it's this council, and this council only went on a delegation visit to meet the minister, and that's what I think, if we really need to, or if we're really looking to push this over the line, to get this reinstated to its right amount, because before the amalgamation, we were promised everything under the sun, and ratepayers have been saying they've just been conned out of it. So I think we, as a single council, can talk to a minister, and we can highlight exactly where the high deprivation, where the high need for this rate support grant is. It doesn't, and it won't come across in a letter. They'll look and say, we've had this letter before, we've had this letter before, but I think it would be much harder for them to avoid the questions that are going to be asked in a delegation visit. And that's why I think if we're really looking to succeed, and that's not taking away anything from the proposer, but if we're really looking to succeed, there needs to be a delegation going from this chamber, elected members. Thank you.
Be a seconder for that proposal?
I'll second.
Or maybe put on an amendment, is that the way we could do it? Okay. Councillor Harkin?
Thank you, Mayor, and happy to support the proposal, the original proposal, 100% agree, and happy to support the amendment as well. I think that we have to just keep raising the issue and keep pushing it. I think that if the rate support grant isn't raised to its original level, I don't think that the Stormont Executive is serious about attempting to address regional imbalance. And I think that there has been a lot of promises coming from the Stormont Executive about prioritising regional balance. But if it doesn't increase the rate support grant up to its original level and actually increase it, then it's not seriously doing anything. And look, since the Executive has come back, we've had the closure of the Waterside Theatre. We've had no funding for the Foyle Cup. We have no clarity yet on funding for phase 3 of the Derry to Coleraine rail upgrade, which is desperately needed. And we had the Arts Council in here and the DFC in here, and they said when it comes to regional imbalance, there's nothing to see here. So I'm not convinced that we are getting anything other than symbolic commitments. What we actually need to see now is a change of direction. And I think that starts with the rate support grant. We have made clear again and again and again from this council chamber to different ministers and to all parties and to all of the executive that if they're serious about addressing regional inequality, and taking the burden off our ratepayers and taking a burden off this council, it means properly funding the rate support grant. So in total support of Councillor Foyle's proposal and fully back Councillor Gallagher's amendment as well.
Christopher?
Right, well, in relation to the proposal, the rate support grant is probably the single biggest way that this council could be supported. It's a massive challenge, and it has been a massive challenge for a number of years. So it makes sense, and it's a no-brainer that this council should lobby hard and often and continue to raise our voices around the importance of the rate support grant. And I'm not taking away anything we've done up until now. I know the letters that we've submitted have continuously raised the concerns of our council and the views of the council. The submissions that this council have made as part of the judicial review, I have no doubt that they were detailed and they spelt it very clear and on no certain terms around the importance of that grant and the impact of the cuts the impact that those cuts are having the ratepayers in this city and district. So I suppose while supporting this proposal and the amendment, it doesn't take away anything that officers have done up until now. We know that the views and the importance of the rate support grant have been aired, and they've been aired strongly, and the detail in relation to the impacts the cuts have had and continue to have in this council have undoubtedly been laid very clear as part of the judicial review and our council submissions to that, as other councils, in particular Mid Ulster. So we know that councils have been raising this. I know as a representative of NULGA, the importance of the rate support grant is something that has been shared right across all the councils, and I think that collective voice directly to ministers is important, but it doesn't mean that we can't do anything on our own. So we've no issue that we seek a meeting with the minister. They raise this, but it is a bit rich, and that all those that have spoke so far can't set a rate. No, there's in terms of us going through a rates process, allocating budgets, their own departments, they agree pay raises, their own staff, and agree a formula to pay for that and allocate budgets. That's our responsibility, and a lot of people sort of shy away from that, but they're very clear, very strong in saying how other departments and other bodies should set their budgets. But the rate support grant is a key element to us setting a budget, and it is a constraint amongst other things. But for the proposal that's in front of us, we're supportive of it. But I think it shouldn't be taken in isolation. We should continue to work with officers. We should continue to engage through the structures that have been set up through NULGA and have been set up through SOLAS. To have that collective voice but by seeking a meeting with the minister, it might bring something else as well. So we're supportive of that. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, I haven't heard any dissenting voices for that. Alderman Kerrigan.
Thank
Am I
you.
going to
Thank you
hear?
very much, Mayor, for that. And apologies, should have had my hand up earlier. In regards to it, I have no major difficulty if they want to send a letter, no major difficulty if they want to meet the minister. I do think it might be maybe stronger if you'd worked with the other 6 councils that are in receipt of the rate support grant and try and have a united front on it to try and get the money into all the councils. But again, it has been raised. It has been raised at NALGA or National Association of Councillors and different things there. But there are some of the councillors up the country who aren't receiving it, who don't really know what all the fuss is about in relation to it. And I know it is a significant amount of money there and what ease the rates process. But as you do see in regards to, but it's a personal gripe there. You do see in regards to it there's other things there that take our money, you know, which I don't see a pile of benefit in. You know, there's 3.5 million still going out in the airport, which is a sizable amount of money also. But there is that as well. But Mayor, I'm content with the proposal. I do think it would have maybe helped if we'd have set a delegation if you tried to get a meeting and involve the other 6 councils that are in receipt of the rate support grant. But it can go with that. I'm not going to try and prolong it any longer. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so taking it that proposal is unanimous. Yep. Go ahead. Right. So no other matters arising. We'll move on to the monthly planning committee held on Wednesday, the 8th of May, 2024, pages 81 to 89. Could I have a proposer and seconder, please? Thank you, John. Seconder, Alderman McMorris. Any matters arising? Sorry, Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it's P10224, the briefing with Ulster University officials. And I want had a constructive and productive discussion yesterday with university officials, including the Vice-Chancellor, Paul Bartholomew, about their plans for student accommodation and also the issuing of HMO letters to developers around the university. The first thing that I think is important out of the meeting was that the university officials agreed that they would no longer issue HMO letters of support to developers, because the problem with that and the frustration that residents had was that they were issuing those letters of support without any understanding of what the issues were in a particular area and without any consultation with residents. So I want to commend the residents that have attended meetings, that have contacted councillors, that have raised this, and that are campaigning around these issues. And I think it's important that the university has taken that step. The university did outline some of its plans for student accommodation building, including the plans for the Duncragan Road site. And I think that a 500 unit student student unit build would be one way to address the student accommodation issues. But I think, as I said at the meeting, and I think others will agree, 2029 is too far away and that they need to move up their plans and have other plans as well much sooner. The other issue that I want to, that has come up with residents that I would like us to have a plan around is, and we discussed it a bit yesterday at the meeting, is the local growth plan and HMO provision. Now, my understanding is that the proposal that we have developed for the local growth plan in relation to HMOs is that in a HMO managed area, it can be 30% of buildings can be HMOs, and then in any other street it would be 10%. Now, there's a lot of questions in between, well, what does that actually mean? Because what is a HMO managed area? Is that one street, or what is considered a HMO managed area? And what do you do with a HMO street or area that has much more than 30% of HMOs or other property conversions that are being used for purposes similar to HMOs? And how would the 10% apply to for HMOs in other areas? So I've got questions about this. I know residents have questions about this. So I think it would be very fruitful, given that there is a pathway to kind of for the local growth plan to be formally adopted over the next year. I think that this is one aspect now we have to bring some clarity to. So if I could request that officers have a look at this, and maybe we can schedule a meeting similar to the one we had, where somebody from the planning department could actually say, this is what this will look like. I think that would be very, very, very helpful, because I think we as councillors and aldermen need to be very, very clear on what is being proposed. So that, because, you know, and I know that there's a lot of confusion about different types of property conversions. It's not just HMOs, but this is one aspect that is in the local growth plan that I think we have to have clarity on for residents. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a Derry area, a Derry City local development plan, the local growth plan. And, you know, while there was many meetings, getting that put into the document, I suppose the actual detail, we all need to see how that would work out. So I do think it would be useful if we did have a meeting with Karen from the planning department, just to thrash that out, just to see, you know, I suppose, get it in black and white. What does that look like? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any other matters arising? Oh, Christopher, sorry, I had your next.
No, just on that point, because the draft plan strategy was a members-led strategy. It was a members-led strategy, and I don't want to keep rehearsing this point, but there was dozens and dozens of meetings where we spent all day developing policies. Some members attended, some didn't attend one meeting, and we agreed on a policy, a draft plan strategy. We had numerous workshops around HMOs. I know, Mayor, you were involved in them yourself. And we discussed what the future of development could look like within our city and district, and more importantly, what's sustainable and what's likely to pass independent assessment. Now, we have agreed the draft plan strategy, consulted on it over years. There's been numerous feedback. There's been quite a lot of feedback in relation to the HMO policy itself. And then it's the entire strategy has went through independent examination. We're still at a process now where we haven't got it adopted yet. And I suppose if I'm mistaken, forgive me, but we highlighted the importance of having a policy around HMOs at a very early stage. We put and the whole emphasis was to protect residential amenity of existing neighbourhoods. So of all other policies that have been agreed in the draft plan strategy, we've specifically put on the line that the HMO policy will come into effect immediately upon the adoption of the draft plan strategy. We don't have to wait until the local policy plan's adopted. That's the only policy, as far as I am aware, that will come into effect immediately. And we need that to come into effect as soon as possible for the very reasons that have been outlined by Councillor Harkin. There's residents that are worried about the character of their area being eroded by temporary housing. So we need a policy in place to inform development. But I suppose just to manage expectations and get a wee bit of clarity in relation to this, are we talking at this stage to amend a draft plan strategy that's been consulted and has went through independent examination, or are we looking for a session to explain what was agreed by councillors, all councillors. Are we asking for a session to explain what was agreed at meetings that some people didn't take the time to attend?
I'm going to take the liberty to maybe answer that, but I'm free for, if I'm wrong, please come back to me. But my understanding of what Councillor Harkin is looking for was to actually see what was agreed and what does that mean, what is it outlook. Certainly not to change it at this stage because there was many hours of work put in, and I think, you know, we were very lucky, I think, to get it to the stage it is now, to have it past the draft plan. But Councillor, is that what I'm hearing from you, that you need to know what that looks like, what the 30% and 10% look like? Because really, to be honest with you, I don't think there's any going back in it. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I think that I would say the vast majority of councillors in here maybe are not clear on what the 30% and the 10% will actually mean, because I know that I follow some of the planning discussions and I see that there's questions about can we get clarification between what is a guest house and what is a HMO, and I think that you know, it says there's consultation, but I would say a lot of residents in the areas around McGee are not clear and don't feel like they've been consulted on the future plans of HMO building. Now, I would say that we're also in a new situation where all of a sudden there is a big expansion of student numbers expected at the university, which we welcome, but that is creating, and that's happening in the context of a housing crisis, right? So I think that it's still a draft. So if there's something that is going to be very problematic, that we would be, that residents in the surrounding areas would not be happy with, because it's not just a question of the future about the residential character. It's happening now. It's been happening, and it's been, and the problem is that it's going to be speeded up, and that we have a lot of competing interests who are looking for property conversions in terms of change of character of a house, whether it's for a guest house, a HMO, whether it is different institutions that need to find housing for people coming here, like the Trust, which, if you add all that up, without a serious housing build around our district, will only will create serious problems. So yeah, I think that this is the that's why I think we first of all need to establish exactly what does 10% mean in a street and which streets, and what the HMO managed areas that are called HMO managed areas. Look, I know that the Glen Development Initiative has asked for a meeting with the planning service to discuss exactly this, because there's no clarity among residents about what this will actually mean. So I think that this is now it's incumbent on the council to make sure that there's a lot of clarity amongst councillors and aldermen. And I think if there was something that was unacceptable about the draft proposal, well, then we would have to look at changing it.
Before I bring in Councillor Mooney, I just want to say that that the draft plan did go out to consultation, you know, to local communities, and even before it was draft, I believe it was taken out to get their views and thoughts on what should the plan look like. But also, you mentioned the social housing. We that worked on the plan were very conscious of the need for more housing, not just social housing, but more housing. And we actually worked very hard with the planning department to get through a lot more than what DFI was predicting that we needed. So that, I believe now, has passed as well. So those of us that were working on that plan were very conscious of the need for housing for this whole council district when we actually upped the recommended number that we needed. So Councillor Mooney.
Thanks very much, Chair. And just on the discussion, I don't have much more to say, but I would definitely accept the points made by Councillor Jackson. When I came into council, I came in the planning committee very short thereafter, but most of our time was taken up by the roundtable meetings and discussions within the planning committee. Members are there, and there was a lot of discussion and papers brought forward. We're dealing with a situation where HMOs are what's called as sui generis applications, or general principles. We now have a policy in the draft plan strategy, which still take a long time to develop. Last year, our draft plan strategy went through the planning commissioners' hearings last year, about 6 weeks of serious dissection with our legal team as well through there. They had to stand over all their evidence and everything else. Now, I understand now it is now within the department. They're doing their assessments on it, but subject to what Philip would say and the officers would say, I don't think there's any manoeuvre from that, or there's any departure for any further scrutiny. Our draft plan will take us to 2032. Thereon the next discussions will be on the next development strategy of the new LDP. But at the moment, we are looking now at waiting for DFA to come back to us to assess, to tell us they agree with the draft plan in full, or if there's any amendments required, and we'll come back to our council at some stage. But and just for information purposes, I suppose, in relation to what the Mayor was saying, next Wednesday's planning committee, there is an update on the LDP. The senior planning officer will be there to give us an update on the current status of the LDP and where it is in the department and what's hopefully the time frame. So any members wish to come along, you can put your questions there and they'll be fully answered by the senior planning officer who deals with the LDP. I'm sure he can take you through it. Just rather maybe get another meeting. If you want to come along, you can you'll certainly get an update, and you'll certainly get an update as to the questions that you're posing, because, and I think it's Pontius McCaughey, who's the LDP officer. He knows his he's been through this, he's taken the lead from day one. He'll really let you know what can be done and what can't be done. But thank you, Chair.
Hey, members, no more. John, did you want to come on? Yeah.
Thanks, Mayor. Just briefly, on the back of what Councillor Jackson and Councillor Mooney have both said, all of which is correct and entirely my understanding of it as well. Further information, I did attend that meeting yesterday and it was useful, and I know you were there yourself as well, Mayor. I'm sure you agree it was useful to hear from the university authorities and the people they brought along, not least the Vice-Chancellor of the university. And they did have some interesting plans that they wish to discuss with us and all of that, and I'm sure people will hear more about that as time goes on. But if my memory serves me right correctly as well, Mayor, our officers were of the hope, certainly, if I can put it that way, that we would be hearing back from DFA autumn into early winter. So we haven't got terribly long to wait for that now, given the number of years, as you quite rightly point out, that we've spent developing our local development plans. So we're getting there. I think it would be useful if other members then want to sit down and try and understand elements of the LDP. I'm sure, why wouldn't we do that as well? Of course, we're all for that. If people want to get their head around it, there's a lot on it. I would imagine if you print it out, it's probably quite a very thick book for people to read. So, Mayor, that's all I wanted to just bring more clarity to it for the benefit of all members. Okay, thanks, Mayor.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's grand. No other matters arising in the planning? No. Moving on to the monthly Business and Culture Committee held on Tuesday, the 14th of May, 2024, pages 91 to 114. Could I have a proposer and seconder, please? Thank you, Chelsea Cook and Aisling Hutton. Oh, thank you. Matters arising?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a point of accuracy that myself and Alderman Cook aren't marked as present in the minutes. We were there. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get that amended. Councillor Farrell.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. It's item 77, which was the delegation from the Arts Council and the senior officer from the Department for Communities. I think anybody that has attended Business and Culture this month will be well aware of the current funding allocations for arts and culture right across the north. So we had the chief executive and we had the chair of the Arts Council in attendance in the Guildhall earlier this month. They gave us a presentation. It showed that 72% of funding for arts organisations across the north went to Belfast. It showed that £2.5 million went to this council last year, this council area last year, whilst £15 million went to the Belfast City Council area. And the presentation also showed that the spend per capita in Derry and Strabane was £17, but the spend per capita in Belfast was £44. So we don't think that's fair or balanced. And in the Arts Council's 10-year strategy, there is no mention of regional balance at all. There is no recognition of regional inequalities, and there's certainly no plan to address the regional disparities that are really, really, really apparent. And it took me 3 times to get a straight answer out of the chair and the chief executive of the Arts Council. I asked them, have you any intention of changing the way you allocate funding to have it done on a regionally balanced basis? And on the 3rd time of asking, I got a resounding no. So we don't think that's right at all. And I am fully conscious that there is a minister in Belfast who funds the Arts Council to the tune of over £10 million per year. And we think that the minister should intervene to ensure that this public money is spent fairly. So the Arts Council have a particular view. DFC are in the middle of devising a culture, arts and heritage strategy. There may be references to regional balance in there. There may not. That needs to be teased out. But I think we should write to the minister, tell them what we think of the status quo. So I have sent a proposal to Jill. I sent it before I started speaking, so Jill will be happy on this occasion. So it's basically that this council will write to the Minister for Communities requesting that his department's forthcoming culture, arts and heritage strategy include a clear commitment to mandate the Arts Council to distribute funding on a regionally balanced basis. I think that's the fairest way to do things. We'll see what the Minister says. So I'd ask for everybody's support.
Councillor Tierney has just seconded that proposal. So Councillor Cusack, did you want to come in? No. Everybody in agreement with that? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Any right? Paul.
Gormulget Mayor, BC 8524. This week alone, I've been contacted by a number of business owners, in Strabane in particular, in relation to town centre parking, and the link that they're making to town centre parking and a decrease in footfall within Strabane town centre. I have sent a proposal through to the committee section, which might make this a bit clearer, but basically, business feel that the current parking arrangements for Strabane town, and that's in relation to council-owned car parks predominantly, more so than any other car parks, are having a negative impact and are more or less pushing people away out of the town centre. Obviously, Strabane, outside of the city, Strabane as part of the wider district has a lot of rural hinterland around it. There aren't the same opportunities for people to use public transport to be able to get into the town centre, and therefore they have no other option but to bring cars and use paid for car parks, and they see that as an issue. And they have given 3 kind of broad asks that we explore, and at this point, that's all that I'm asking for in this proposal, is for an exploration of those kind of asks from an officer perspective and from a council perspective. But I think when businesses are coming to us, they're coming to us with an issue. They're giving us somewhat of a solution for us to look at. I think we have nothing else to do really but to look at it favourably, but also taking on the realistic impact that it has on council. Obviously, council parking or council car parks are a revenue raising mechanism, and I'm not ignorant to that fact. But I do think that we need to look at what they're asking for, scope it out, and bring it back to committee for people to look at. I don't think, I take it that we are a city and district, we are one council, but I do think that if businesses, particularly in one area of the council, are asking us to look at something, I think we need to be serious about it. Maybe there is merit and warrant in treating two parts of the council district separately. I'm not sure. I don't want to prejudice anything that council officers might go away and explore. But basically as well, the third point is what they are building their arguments on, the fact that in similar sized towns to Strabane, there are different parking arrangements that look more favourably on a Strabane town centre business kind of outlook rather than a city centre outlook. And I suppose that's what I'm asking councillors to support in this proposal today, is having that different approach and letting council officers explore it and bring it back to us, and we can look at it then in due course. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, have you a seconder for that, Paul? Emma, thank you. Has everybody got a chance to look at that? Yeah, Jason?
Mayor, and thanks to Councillor Boggs for raising this, what I would call as an important issue. And just like Councillor Boggs, I've been approached also by business owners within the town, especially independent retailers, which makes this very, very important, because that's the businesses that have been affected, is the independent retailers. It's not the nationwide or the national retailers that be affected by this. It is the local independent people, and that's the people that we need to be seen to be supporting, especially as local councillors. So more than happily support, and thanks again for raising this, Councillor Boggs. Thank you.
Alderman Kerrigan.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for allowing me in. And again, content to support the scoping exercise in regards to it. I know we had had discussions with council staff that were working in relation to the city deal in regards to the outworkings that would take place in Strabane, and again the public realm works in the town, and the Riverine project and all that, if we can get it all linked in. But and again, I'm not trying to preempt anything, they would have maintained that the biggest spenders were those that were in a town on foot rather than those coming in a vehicle. That's from whatever evidence that council had already gathered for their information. They maintained the largest spenders were those. I do think that depends how far you're going up, that there will be other similar sized towns which the parking will be more expensive. But I do take on board exactly where you're coming from, Councillor Boggs, in relation to this, because it's the nature of Strabane now that the town centre is effectively moving further out and out to Camel's Hump, as you'd called it, out in that section there, and it is taken away from the centre of the town, and it is those smaller and independent retailers in there who are feeling the pinch with it. And again, it'll be good whenever we do get the projects done in the town, but it's still taken away. If it is handy for someone to come in with maybe a family and just go into shopping, free parking, and the shops beside them, it is that. So it'll be interesting to see, and hopefully we can get a bit more done for particularly those independent retailers in the town centre. But no, content to support Councillor Boggs' proposal. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Oh,
Thanks.
ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I saw Brian had his hand up as well, but I think I just beat him to it here. On behalf of the SLP, happy to support that proposal. You know, it's a paper that's going to come back to business and culture. In terms of clarity, it says, what would the impact be of the first hour being free? So there's two ways to look at that. You know, what would the impact be for the retailer, or what's the financial impact to council? So I think there needs to be a bit of clarity there, just to make the council officer's job a wee bit easier in this regard.
Do you want clarity now, councillor? Or do you want to with the council officers? Do you want to?
I suppose that, to be fair, I didn't come up with these 3 points, but on the explanation that I have been given from the business owners that I have talked to, I suppose what they want to see is, from our perspective, what would it be financially? You know, do we have statistics, or can we find statistics? How long do people stay in a parking or in a paid parking? You know, is it going to be that much of a difference if we lose an hour? On average, people stay 4 hours, so is it that big to be losing an hour? That's the kind of thing we're talking about. Mayor, just with a bit of indulgence to link the two previous speakers, the main reason for this coming as well is to try and get the town centre regenerated. We've talked before about, you know, the retail parks down where Lidl are and Asda and all the rest. It's creating that funnel for people to get back up into the town centre as the issue. It's not that Strabane is dead, because it's not. It is busy. It could be busier in a different way, I suppose, is what the business are telling us. And I suppose incentivising parking outside of the cost of to the person that is parking, incentivising that funnel, that channel of getting people back up into the town centre is where we're coming from. So absolutely what Councillor Barr has said about local business rather than just, you know, people that are businesses and companies that have the money and the means to buy land and set up free car parking. So that's where it has stemmed from. Mayor, for your indulgence.
Paul?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think we should try and preempt what the scoping exercises is going to identify. I think that, you know, I agree with Councillor Boggs. I think what's trying to get brought forward here is there's a lot of nervousness within the business and community sector and Strabane that they're not getting their fair crack at the whip. And there's a lot of things that's happening around that. And we could talk about rate rises, and we could talk about this, and we could talk about that. But what they want to do is try and maximise the working hours that they can get people in, and the people that just stop 5 minutes, they're in and they're out. And they want to try and maximise that. And if they're getting the free hour, people know I can nip down, boom, and I'm in and out without the fear of a ticket. And Mayor, this new transition to parking, and there's no saying about cash is king, but there's a lot of complaints coming in about the apps and about getting double charged and treble charged and all the rest. So there's a whole lot of confusion all around that is making the business sector very nervous that they're losing out. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so I think that's unanimous among everybody that proposal go ahead. Any other? Sorry, Grace, I didn't see your hand.
Oh, you're right. BC 84/24. I'm just looking for an update on the tender process that went out for the cafe. I know it closed on the 24th of May. Was there any of the applicants successful, and are we looking forward to the cafe opening again in the Guildhall? Carmagate?
Yeah, the tender assessment panel's meeting tomorrow. So there's a number of applications in, so hopefully we'll get one successful out of that. But so members will be advised as, excuse me, as soon as we have the outcome of the panel.
That's grand, thank you. That'd be good to see that opening again. Any other matters rising? No. Moving on.
Patricia, sorry.
Sorry, who am I looking at? Oh,
Sorry about that.
Sean, sorry. Yeah.
I just wanted to make a quick query in relation to the car parking clouding. Now, I'm conscious that it's not an item that's listed in the minutes. Would you be willing to permit that, Patricia?
Yes, that's okay.
Okay, thank you. So, Stephen, see in relation to, I attended a consultation in regard to the car park in Claudy, the ongoing resurfacing work and the planned layouts that were presented. I talked to Gemma when I was up there, and my understanding is that there was an online survey that was made available to the residents in the local area. I suppose I'm just looking for confirmation from you that the feedback from those consultations and the data that was collated from that online survey will be made available to members before any decisions are taken on a final layout for the car park.
There's a meeting in the diary for members of Business and Culture to go through the details of the survey, the outcome of that, and to discuss before we bring anything into committee for members' approval.
When is that meeting precisely?
I don't know off the top of my head. I need to check my diary, but I know it's.
No worries. That's fine. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, before I move on, I haven't missed anybody else, have I? No, no. Right. Moving on now to the Monthly Environment and Regeneration Committee held on Wednesday, the 15th of May, 2024, pages 115 to 118. Can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Barney. Brian, sorry. Matters arising? Yeah.
Mayor.
Thank me, yeah.
Mayor.
Yeah, Alderman Middleton first and then yourself.
Thank you, Mayor. It's just for ER 139/24. I just noted that it says members noted the content of the report when I specifically asked for timeframes for flood alleviation schemes. And I don't believe I was the only member that asked that or agreed. I was definitely the first to ask it, but that was noted. So I wouldn't agree that we just noted the report and moved on. I specifically asked for timeframes on that. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have that amended. Okay. Rory?
It's ER 131/24. It's potential play projects development, but under that item, there was a discussion around public convenience provision in Castleberg, and I had raised the issue of essentially the lack of awareness of the community toilet scheme in Castleberg. I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago, it was the Health and Communities Committee that, on a recommendation from a working group, agreed to close the public conveniences in Castleberg. I think that was due to a number of factors, one of them being value for money for ratepayers to the council. But we were also told at the time that the community toilet scheme would be brought in to replace the public toilets in Castleberg, and as well as that, there would be at Derrick Valley Leisure Centre a change in places facility, and for whatever reason that has not transpired. It still hasn't been built. So essentially, Mayor, what I'm asking is that that this council, and I have a proposal sent to the clerk there, that council would work to promote the community toilet scheme in Castleberg, because there is a lack of awareness. I think not too many businesses have availed of the community toilet scheme, and it's still an issue that's being raised with me, and I know other dairy councillors as well. So, Mayor, I would like to make that proposal that this council actively promotes both participation in and awareness of the community toilet scheme in Castleberg, and in tandem actively pursues the provision of new public conveniences in the town. Thank you, Gormugget.
A seconder for that, Rory? Thank you, Caroline. Okay. Alderman Kerrigan? Oh, sorry. Alderman Hussey, I didn't see you first yet, and then
No, just support the proposal, as you know, and Councillor McHugh referred to it there. We've been raising this issue of visibility of the community toilet scheme. So, you know, it's this lack of promotion which is causing a lot of issues, and indeed the location. So there are other properties and premises in Castleberg that could enter the scheme. So the more come into it, the better. It needs to be promoted, needs to be signposted in a proper way going forward. Thank you.
Alderman Kerrigan.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Again, concur with our comments there made by Alderman Hussey and put forward there, the proposal put forward by Councillor McHugh. It is a thing to try and get it at line time, because people didn't know. And as stated at the Environment Committee, there was one signpost where the community toilet scheme was highlighted, and that was on the building, was the old toilets, which the council then demolished. So that signpost went along with it. But it's a case of we maybe have a little bit more capacity in Castleberg to try and get businesses involved in that scheme. We have tried again, as the Dairy Council know, and Newton Stewart, and we're not getting the buy-in there to try and get that. But again, as is issued, and as Councillor McHugh has touched on it in his proposal here, and Alderman Hussey has stated it many times, myself as well, in regards to the play facilities and the work that's been upgraded, particularly at the two sites, the Castle site in Castleberg and Vaughan's Home and Newton Stewart, that when there is that upgrade from a local play facility to either a neighbourhood or a district, that some form of toilet provision will be provided at those sites. And again, I think even if that was sufficient, then that may solve the problem of building a brand new toilet block in the town. But if we have something in that regard, and it has been continually pushed, and it's not been taken on by officers, or it's been passed from one department to another department. And I know it more so falls under health and communities, and the play facilities are under E&R. But it's just something that I genuinely think it's continually been asked by the Derry councillors, and it's something that has to be actively looked into and something brought forward back to us on paper in black and white. Thank you, Mayor. But content to propose, or content to support the proposal. Thank you.
Just take note that everybody is in support of that proposal, yes. Any other matters arising in Environment and Regeneration Committee? Fergal?
Thank you, Mayor. ER 124/24. I'm just wondering if there was any discussion with regards to the rollout of brown bins in rural areas. I think it is one of the aims for this year. Has there been any progress with forging the brown bins to roll out the areas, or the vehicle that is needed for this? Thank you.
Do you want to update that?
Sure, the team are progressing with that. There's a funding stream recently opened with DRA again, so we're applying for funding. Whilst Council has approved the crew, we still have to get the vehicle and the bins, and we're in the process of procuring both at the moment, whilst also trying to chase up the funding to limit the impact on the ratepayer. But we had endeavoured to get the scheme on the ground by late summer, early autumn, and we're still working to that timetable.
Thank you.
Councillor Harkin?
Thanks, Mayor. Just quickly, ER 129/24, the Fountain Dereliction Task Force. If I could just add myself to be nominated to the task force, that'd be great. Thanks.
No other matters arising? Moving on to the monthly Health and Communities Committee held on Thursday, the 16th of May, 2024, pages 129 to 142. Proposer and seconder, please. Ashley and Catherine. Any matters arising? Ashley?
Thank you, Mayor. It's just HC 117/23. Barry, would you have any update in relation to the meeting we had at the start of April? The Moor Ward representatives had met in relation to the direct intervention stuff.
Through yourself, Mayor, there's a paper coming into Health and Community next month on that, on a proposal for spend.
Thanks very much, Barry. Thank you.
Emma?
Mayor, it's HC 120/23, and it's the accessibility improvements at the Brandywell. Really delighted to see that progressing. I'd had a conversation with Rory from RNIB, and he was saying that there might be a possibility that the accessibility arrangements could possibly be extended through to Celtic Park, and if a conversation could maybe happen, I think he says something around the antennas, it would reach that far over, and if we could look at maybe having a conversation with the GA or Celtic Park on and around that, that would be welcome. Thank you.
Through yourself, Mayor, I'll engage with Derry GA and organise that.
Thank you. No other matters arising? No. Oh, Grace, sorry.
Oh, you're okay. It's just HC 110/23. It was just to welcome Adele Irwin and Gail McIver, who came in and did the deputation regarding the type 1 diabetes and the new technology that we would love to have available here in the Trust. There is another event happening, but it's more of a closed event, but it's for different community organisations, along with the likes of the University of Ulster, the Trust, and all different bodies coming together to work out like what we could do going forward in terms of the diabetes in the Trust and people living with pre-diabetes. So pre-diabetes is when you're sort of like on the verge of type 2. It's when your body, so obviously your body produces insulin, and then the insulin breaks down the glucose in your blood. But when you're pre-diabetic, your body has become more resistant to the insulin, so your body is having to produce more insulin, and it gets to a point where your blood sugars are starting to rise slowly, and then it gets over that, and then you have to take medication to produce more insulin because your pancreas isn't doing its job anymore. So there's actually 10,500 people in the Western Trust living with pre-diabetes. which shows that we are on the verge of an epidemic with it. And this isn't, there's so much involved in it, in the sense of, you know, like what you eat, how much you exercise, and just having that real knowledge of food. So I think it's amazing to see that this event's happening. It's being led by the Developing Healthy Communities, and it's just great to see that all these different organisations are coming together to work out ways how we, as a trust area, can try and combat this epidemic, so that future generations aren't in the same position that our generation is in now. Very good.
Alderman Kerrigan.
All right, that's on a different point from Grace, if that's okay. Sorry,
Yes, go ahead now. Yeah.
It's a 11923, and it's just the last point on that in regards to the work with Rapid, and declare an interest as a member of Rapid, but in regards to the scoping exercise and a consultant to work with them to map out the rural venues and that, is that it's just getting clarification on that. Is that as a consultant to do that mapping work, or as that Rapid been left to do that work, or is that work that council's taken on? It's just getting clarification, because there's a report back. Is it a mapping report to be brought back in the autumn time, and potential of a working group? But I'm just trying to get that clarification. Is that something that Rapid will be doing, or is it something the consultant will be doing, or something that a mixture of council and that, just so that I get clarification in my own head? Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mayor.
Through yourself, Mayor, it's Alderman Kerrigan. It's a combination of all three: Rapid, council officers, and the consultancy team, and number and specific areas. So the detailed report that will come back will outline all of that.
No other matters arising in health and communities. We will move on and to the bi-monthly Assurance and Audit and Risk Committee held on Monday, the 20th of May, 2024, pages 143 to 154. Can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Thank you. Seconder. Oh, thank you, Martin. Any matters arising? No. The item number 10, the Corporate Improvement Plan, 2024-25, pages 155 to 250, and I'm going to pass you over to Ellen.
Through you, Mayor, and very briefly, this report sets out the results of the feedback on the improvement objectives for 24-25. Happy to report that there was 80 to 90% agreement with those improvement objectives, and in overall terms, we have not put forward any proposals to make any changes. So therefore, the recommendations in front of members today is firstly to note the consultation results and, subject to your comments, approve the corporate plan and improvement plan for 24-25, which is set out at Appendix 1. Thank you, members.
Could I have a proposer and seconder for that, please? Thank you, Rory. A seconder, please. Thank you, Alex. Moving on now to we're just going to take, do you want the confidential?